You've been injured. It doesn't matter if you were hit by a big truck, a smart car, or anything in between. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Let we go.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
What's up, people? Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake for one more day. Hester is supposed to be back tomorrow. T-Bob will be back next week, but from now until 10 a.m., it will be myself alongside Casey Gaines, who is on the audio board, Taylor Sharp, who is getting us on YouTube, and we'll also have some takes today as my de facto co-host. Please continue to talk to me in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. The interaction has been awesome all week. Appreciate you guys. You've added a lot to the show. I've really enjoyed the Ask the Bench segments as well. We'll do that at the end of the show. We'll take your questions about sports, about life. You can ask us anything over there in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. We have a big show planned for you today. Several guests. Only had a couple of guests the first couple of days. We have three of them today. Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, will join us at 8 a.m., talk some Saints, give us some more boots-on-the-ground reporting from Saints training camp. A couple more padded practices left for New Orleans this week. We'll also talk to Tom Hart coming up at 8:30, play-by-play man for the SEC Network. You guys know me. I love play-by-play. I'm a play-by-play nerd. Tom is definitely one of the best out there, and he also has a lot of personality. He's one of the guys that whenever I call him, he's not afraid to crack a joke or two. So I'm looking forward to talking to Tom from this side of the room today. And at 9 a.m., we will talk to one of my favorite people, Marlin Favorite, a.k.a. Big Fave. Always enjoy having him on the show. He always has some fascinating takes about football and several other items. So looking forward to talking to Ross and Tom and Marlon. We'll do Ask the Bench towards the end of the show. Maybe we'll do some Would You Rather Wednesday in the third hour. I'll kind of gauge the show, see how things are going, and we'll decide whether or not we do some Would You Rather Wednesday. So before we get started, go around the room, OTB tradition, see how everybody's doing. Casey, how are you on this Wednesday morning?
Doing good. Regretting not stopping by to get a energy drink for this morning, though. Taylor's doing it smart. He's got a NOS over there, so I might have to stop by and grab me one so I can keep going, but I'll make it through.
You're not a coffee guy? You're not a coffee drinker?
I am not a coffee guy. Not at all. I prefer just an energy drink.
Okay. Well, they got a lot of good selections, as Taylor would tell you. Taylor, how's the NOS, man? How's your Wednesday morning?
Man, I'm doing good. Like Casey said, just slam that energy drink. We are excited and we are ready to go. Not a coffee drinker either, but look, man, wide awake and ready to roll.
I knew you weren't a coffee drinker. I am too. If I can get the sound off of my computer to stop playing, pull the T-Bob there. But glad y'all are doing well. You guys have been awesome all week. Appreciate the help. It's made my job a whole lot easier. With that being said, let me do my job and talk about sports here. We are 32 days away from LSU opening the season against Florida State. That game will be in Orlando. What's up, everybody in the chat? Lars and Bilbo and Taylor Sharp. Taylor Sharp in the chat. I pulled the Rob Burgundy right me. There, man. That is you. 32 days away from the season opener. Taylor Sharp. We are playing Florida State in Orlando this year. LSU is, game was in New Orleans last season. Getting closer. About a month right on the dot away from that first game. And we've done the numbers thing to open every show. I guess we can do it again today. Today we are 32 days away from the season. The first name that came into my mind for whatever reason was Jalen Collins. Jalen Collins was the defensive back here. Honestly, not sure if he's still in the league. Definitely should have looked that up. But I can tell you he had a really strong start to his NFL career with the Atlanta Falcons. As a rookie, he was on that team that went to the Super Bowl and blew the lead, obviously, against the Patriots, 28-3. Y'all know the story. It looks like he's not in the league anymore, and he is a podcast host. He is the co-host of The Raw Room. I've definitely seen some clips from that show before. So shout out to Jalen Collins, doing good as a podcaster. Did really good as a defensive back here at LSU as well. Me and Taylor were talking about the Ole Miss game back in 2014. he had a really good game. He broke up a ton of passes, but he dropped at least 2 or 3 interceptions. And the guy I was calling the game with in Spanish, Sergio, he was an Argentinian guy. He was getting really mad at Jalen Collins. He thought he wasn't going to go very far as a football player. Sergio was wrong. Jalen had a nice career at LSU. He had a good NFL career. And he's somebody that I remember fondly. Taylor, any 32s coming to your mind?
Yeah, the first one that came to my mind was definitely one Mr. Charles Scott. You remember back in the 2008 season, he had about 17, 18 touchdowns that year. Really good. I remember they started calling him Chuck the Truck for all the tackles he broke that year. I used to love that nickname as a young 7th grader. But yeah, Charles Scott, first name that came to mind.
He was a beast, man. Charles Scott, somebody who, when he got the ball, it was short yardage. You felt pretty good, similar to Hester. But somebody who definitely had a lot of good moments at LSU. I was talking with my guy, Richard Condon, in the elevator on the way up here, and he brought up the Georgia game back in 2009, a game that I feel like is kind of forgotten, but that was an excellent game. Like, if you remember, LSU was up, Georgia makes a comeback, A.J. Green makes an incredible play in the back corner of the end zone to put Georgia ahead, and then Charles Scott puts the game away towards the very end, breaks a long run, LSU wins. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the play right here. Less than a minute to go. Gets the handoff from Jefferson. You think you got him at the line of scrimmage. Nope. See you later. Breaks at least 3 or 4 tackles. Runs into the end zone. Points his hand to the sky. That was a fun moment, man. I was watching that game in my friend's father's garage. He had a good setup there, like a little man cave. So shout out to Charles Scott. Shout out to Jalen Collins. If I'm missing anybody, please let me know in the Bayou 4 chat. I'm sure there are more 32s throughout the history of LSU, but definitely wanted to shout out Jalen Collins and Charles Scott as well. Shout out to those guys. 32 days away from the season, man. Getting closer and closer. And we'll see if we continue doing this Jersey countdown when T-Bob and Jake get back. But if not, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for indulging me, and thank you, the listeners, for participating in this as well. Doesn't look like we have any other 32s from the chat. That's disappointing. Anyway, talking about the present day LSU Tigers. They continue to do well on the recruiting trail. We talked about a couple of offensive linemen yesterday. And today we have a new commit to discuss, and that is 4-star tight end J.D. LaFleur. And he chose LSU over Florida, Miami, Texas Tech, among others. And this is somebody who's an LSU legacy because his father was a tight end back in the 90s, and he was a really good player, All-American, David LaFleur. So JD, his son, coming to LSU. This is Brian Kelly's kind of specialty, the tight end position. You saw the work he did with Mason Taylor as a freshman, and this is another good get for LSU. I don't know if he's going to play immediately. LSU is building a lot of depth at that position, but Taylor, this is definitely a positive development for Brian Kelly.
Yeah, man, it is. Another big tight end, J.D. LaFleur, or John David, as it says on the man's birth certificate, 6'6", 220 pounds. You see it now. Every tight end is going to want to come to LSU because of the history that Brian Kelly has with that position. Look what he did at Notre Dame. He had Travis Kelce back when he was at Cincinnati. I mean, just a tight end guru. Everybody talks about him with the offensive line, but really tight end, I mean, that's his spot. And now you land one Mr. Peter LaFleur's nephew, Mario, from Average Joe's. And you know what they say, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a tackler. So Mr. JD, we're excited that he's going to be part of the purple and gold.
A little surprised they never made a Dodgeball sequel. Has that ever been in the works? I mean, that's such a classic movie that I hear people like talk about all the time. And I'm seeing a link right now that says there is a sequel in the works with Vince Vaughn returning. Doesn't look like everybody's going to be in it, but it looks like Vince Vaughn will be in the sequel. And it'll be scripted by Jordan Van Dina. T-Bob's probably way more familiar with this kind of stuff, but I had that thought in my head. I looked it up. Maybe there is going to be a sequel to Dodgeball. Yes, it was announced in April 2023. Oh, my God. Live radio. I'm just learning about this, but this is awesome, man. Dodgeball is definitely one of my favorite movies. I don't know if Lance Armstrong's going to make a comeback. We know Vince Vaughn will, but that's exciting, man. Dodgeball sequel.
I'm typically not big into comedy sequels, but yeah, Dodgeball is so good. I'll have to watch this one.
Yeah, you got to, man. That's a banger.
Look, the Hangover sequel ruined it for me. It ruined the comedy sequels for me.
I hear you. I thought Hangover 2 was okay, man.
No, you didn't. You thought it was okay, but compared to the first one, it was terrible.
The third one was terrible. I'll give you that one.
I actually like 3 better than 2.
Oh, man, we have very different tastes in movies. But I feel you. I feel what you're saying. And I'm somebody who usually is like, let's make new material instead of going back to old stuff. But I'll definitely make an exception here, man. Again, curious of who the cast will be. But Vince Vaughn being back, at least you can make something decent out of that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with J.D. LaFleur as well coming to LSU. As Taylor's saying, man, if you're a tight end, you definitely want to play for Brian Kelly. I heard one recruit talking about Hugh Freeze and how he develops wide receivers better than Nick Saban. That was somewhat controversial when that kid said that. Not very controversial to say Brian Kelly works well with tight ends. You've seen the players he sent to the NFL, Rudolph and Travis Kelce and others. And now you see what he's done at LSU on the field with guys like Mason Taylor, and now what he's doing on the recruiting trail. So, yes, I agree with Taylor. Kelly continues to kill in recruiting, and I'm sure a lot of tight ends are coming to LSU specifically to work with him. And you can add J.D. LaFleur of Sulphur to that list. So, shout out to J.D. LaFleur. He's coming to LSU. Shout out to all of you for joining us on a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Let's see if we can hit 100 shout-outs today. They were making fun of me in the chat yesterday for saying that a lot. I do like to say that, but I like to shout out my friends.
I think you're at 6 now, so we're on the way.
All right, let's get it. Taylor's tallying it up. Let's see where we get. Let's see where we get to by the end of the show. We'll take our first break of the program. We'll come back and we'll discuss a gambling scandal. I know y'all are excited to talk about this. We've been talking a lot about the incident with Alabama baseball and our guy Bert going to the window with $100,000 to bet on a baseball game very sketchily, very illegally. Well, that has had effects, and it's hit a starting quarterback for a Power 5 program. We'll tell you about that story, potential ramifications of it. Thanks for joining us once again. This is a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 225-888-8888. Hey, if you ain't got any haters, you ain't Gordon, okay? But guess what? There are some haters out there, which there are many, but there's much more lovers, including a lot of your favorite athletes, as they're members of the G Team. I'm always telling you about the Grubbin' with G series, which you can find on social media at Get Gordon, wherever whatever social media you're on. And it's where Gordon sits down with some of your favorite athletes. I love watching Angel Reese, Flage, Mason Smith was not long ago. Just sat down with Harold Perkins the other day. Like I said, the only clip that I've seen out of it, I haven't watched the whole thing yet, was Perkins talking about how after freshman year in high school, he actually quit football for basketball. What could have been. Thankfully, he stayed with football. Thankfully, he found his way to the G Team. And thankfully, we get to watch him for another fall. Hey, if you need help in the courtroom, get Gordon, get it done. 225-888-8888.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, our final LSU camp preview. We'll get your Saints camp report. We'll do Pluckers trivia, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
What's up, people? Welcome back to the show. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake for one more day. Jake will be back tomorrow. T-Bob will be back next week. And I'm sure those guys are going to have thoughts about the story we will discuss right here. So, Iowa State and Iowa. If you guys remembered, after everything went down with the Alabama baseball team, the whole scandal involving the coach there, a lot of colleges and the NCAA in general are really cracking down on this kind of stuff. You know, gambling, knowing stuff that you can only know being part of a team or coaching a team, and then using that information to give yourself an advantage when it comes to sports betting. So after all this happened, Iowa and Iowa State both started doing an investigation. Right, they're investigating the universities and the athletes there to see if they're potentially wagering on games and using this info that they're not supposed to use, right? Well, court records revealed something very interesting yesterday, and that is that Iowa State starting quarterback Hunter Dekkers has been charged with tampering with records involving an ongoing sports gambling investigation, which I just explained to you kind of poorly right there. We don't know the specifics of how he tampered with the investigation, but we do know that he schemed with his parents, Scott Dekkers and Jamie Dekkers, to conceal his online gambling and essentially place bets as his mom, using his mom's name, right, Jamie. And this is really bad. Like, we're not talking a few dollars. Let me try to win a couple $100s here. Let me try to buy myself some new shoes. Let's try and hit this 14 parlay and turn 25 into 500. No, this is really bad. According to multiple reports, Dekkers is accused of placing 366 mobile or online sports bets totaling more than $2,800. And reports also state that Dekkers placed 26 bets on Iowa State events through a DraftKings account, including a 2021 Oklahoma State-Iowa State football game. Now, he didn't play that day, but still, it's his team, and he's the quarterback. Like, he knows some very valuable stuff when it comes to strategizing, game planning for this game. And he placed a bet on this one. And this is, as Emil kind of said in the chat coming into the segment, this is not very surprising. You know, we knew they were going to uncover some stuff like this, but it's still it's definitely a cautionary tale in my opinion. You know, this is something that we're probably going to continue to see more stories like this, but I'm not very surprised. I have to say I'm not very surprised, and I think we'll see more of this And this is significant. We'll get into the significance in a little bit. But Taylor, I know you have some thoughts about this. What was your reaction when you saw this story?
First off, your parents are going to help you bet on your own games. I'm not sure that's quality parenting, but who am I to judge on that front? Why is this such a problem? I mean, it's an epidemic right now. You know you're going to get caught. You know you're breaking the rules. Look, again, it was when me and T-Bob went back and forth, and this was on the NFL, not necessarily college. Yeah. And a lot of people's takes are like, well, the colleges and the NFL, they're all making money off of DraftKings. Yeah, they're businesses. They're in the business of making money. You're not. You know it's against the rules, so maybe just don't do it. You know you're going to get in trouble. Now, he's in even more trouble because he was lying and tampering, and we don't know how, but he got busted for that as well. Like, this is an addiction. If you're betting 300 bets, 26 on your own team,
yeah.
I mean, that is a problem. That's not, oh, I'm bored. Let me throw $5 down here. Let me throw $10 down here. Like, this is a problem throughout the entire country. This is ridiculous. I don't know what you do. You may just have to do a thing where it's like, if you're caught one time, you're off the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else you do. That may sound harsh, but it's a harsh reality that this has to be stopped.
Well, the NCAA has came out and said that, like, if you're caught doing this, you could potentially be banned for life. Like, those will be the consequences. But just use some common sense here, man. Like, first of all, again, we talked about in the NFL, not a very good job of covering your tracks. Like, those guys did it from the team facility. Of course you're going to get popped because they'll be able to track you. You used your parents' name, and they're betting on the school that you go to. Like, if you're the NCAA investigators, it's not very hard to put 2 and 2 together. But I do agree with you. Like, I understand the gripe that, you know, some people like T-Bob have. You know, these companies are making money. Why can't the players? Well, the players have inside information, man. It's not very complicated. When I went to work for the Pelicans, you technically work for the Saints as well. You know, same company, same owner. When you get hired and you go through your orientation, they give you a whole orientation, right? Like, tell you all the rules, tell you the expectations. You know, you deal with players this way. They tell you can't gamble, and they really stress that fact because you even working for an organization, you know, the marketing department, the media department, whatever, you're going to have certain inside information just by being in that building that people outside of that building may not have. If you're a quarterback, even if you're not a starting quarterback, you're going to have some very, very valuable information. And remember, it doesn't even have to be the side. Like, it doesn't even have to be the spread. Like, if a player's having a great week in practice, they have a matchup that they really like, let me bet the over on this guy's yards. That's a good bet. You know, stuff like that. It's not very hard to understand why it is illegal. And now if you really want to go that route, like, there are many other ways for the players to make money. NIL, like, so much stuff that they could do that they weren't able to do before. Like, just don't do it. I'm with you. And you know me, man. I like to be open-minded. I like to challenge the rules sometimes, but this is pretty black and white. This was very avoidable for our man Deckers. And I will point out that this is significant because this is not just a football player, not just D1 or Power 5, but this is a starting quarterback, above average player on a Power 5 team. Like, this is a person, Deckers, who was an honorable mention all Big 12 quarterback last year, started all 12 games for the Cyclones. Also threw for 3,044 yards, which is the 4th most in a single season in school history and the 3rd most in the conference. And he also had the best completion rate in the Big 12 for what it's worth, 66%. Again, he can get in trouble. He could potentially get banned for life from playing sports. Technically, he can go to jail because in Iowa, you could face up to 2 years in prison for tampering with records, which is apparently what he did here. And that's an aggravated misdemeanor in this state. So he was risking a lot, and it might cost him a lot, Taylor. I mean, this is a crazy story.
Yeah, he's not going to go to jail. And typically for a misdemeanor, you're not going to give more than about a year and a half max. But that's beside the point. You made a great point, Mario. Everybody complained, and they said, we got to put money in these kids' pockets. We got to do this. We got to do that. You've done that with NIL, and you're still doing this. This is almost like breaking the rules just because you want to break the rules. And people say, oh, well, you know, he bet $2,800. It's not that much money. Okay, then why do it? If you're not even going to make that much in return, then why are you doing it? And when does it become too much? I mean, you heard about the Iowa State wrestler. He had something like $50K in a year or something like that. This is a problem. I don't know how you could justify it any otherwise. It is an issue. Like you said, he could be banned for life. Pete Rose, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, is still not in the Baseball Hall of Fame because he got in trouble for this back in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
People are all up in arms acting like this is a new rule. This has always been the case. It's not like there's something in the rule book. Like when the guy in the NFL, I think it was Jamison Williams, was like, well, I didn't know we couldn't bet. You've never been able to. Stop acting like when sports betting became legal, it all of a sudden became a new thing. This is something you've never been able to do. There is no excuse for breaking this rule. It really is like breaking the rules just because you want to.
100%. And for what it's worth, I agree with guys like Lars. And I said this myself when we talked about that very same story. Just use word of mouth. Like, this was very easy to track. You were on an app with your parents' name. Go walk to your boy's house, talk to your boy in person. Hey, friend, here is $100 in cash. This is very illegal. I can't do it, but I really, really want to do it, so I'm going to take the precaution. These people can't even do that. But at the end of the day, I'm still agreeing with you, man. It's still not worth it, and this is maybe kind of a reach, but I would compare it a little bit to if we were talking like, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It's kind of like drug dealing in that guys think that they could pick up a little money, not going to hurt anybody, but you can get caught very easily. And at the end of the day, it is just not worth it. Even if you do feel like you can make a little bit of money, it is incredibly illegal. And you can question, should it be illegal? The NCAA and the NFL are profiting off of this stuff. Why can't I? But I think that's a fool's errand. Eventually, you're still just going to get yourself in trouble. And like we're saying, there are many other ways to try to make money as a college athlete. That's not this. So this is something that, like I said, I think is going to continue. And I'm not surprised to see this. We'll see how it affects Iowa State. That seems pretty major. Campbell's still the coach over there, right? I mean, he had a few really good seasons there. He was even getting some NFL interviews. But I don't know. This is going to be tough to bounce back from if you're Iowa State. But not surprising. Not a surprising story. Hunter Dekkers is going to get in some trouble, I'm sure. And I'm sure we're going to continue to see more stories like this. Anything to add, Taylor, before we move on? No? All good. All right. We'll see if we see more stories like this. We'll talk some NFL, transition a little bit on the other side of this break, get into some Saints. We will talk to Ross Jackson at 8 a.m. I want to set up that interview a little bit, see what's going on with the team at training camp. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp. This is Off the Bench on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to allstartoyota.batonrouge.com, allstartoyota of batonrouge.com. Man, rare is the show that we get this deep in it without talking about our friends over there at All Star Toyota. We're right there off of Airline Highway. You can find your next Toyota at All Star. And, of course, when you're talking about a Toyota, you're talking about vehicles that stand the test of time in a big way. They last forever. So it's an investment, right? And so let's say you want to buy either new or Toyota certified used vehicle. When you buy a Toyota from All Star, not only are you going to get the excellent customer service, you get access to the incredible service department where they actually drop you off at home when they're working on the car. They text you throughout. They don't move ahead without your approval. They pick you back up. So you get all the advantages of buying from All Star, but then also because it's Toyota, this thing's going to last. Eventually, you ain't going to be paying that car note, and you're going to be chilling, okay? Because you still got hundreds of thousands of miles left on that thing. So what are you waiting for? Get your next Toyota, All Star Toyota, right there off of Airline Highway, allstartoyota, batonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for...
It's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. JD Piquel from On3 Sports is back. It's a What If Wednesday, and my top storylines entering LSU fall camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
They got a medieval version of this too, Casey. It goes hard. I see you bobbing your head over there. Shout out Dr. Dre. The medieval version of this is really good. We might have to play some medieval hip-hop before the end of the show. I was jamming to that yesterday when I was doing the show prep. These guys walked in and they were like, what the hell? What is that? I enjoyed it, though. Hopefully you guys will as well. This is Off the Bench. We talked a little bit of college football a segment ago, big gambling scandal. Alvin Kamara had a scandal of his own, I guess you could say, got in a fight in Las Vegas. Everybody's awaiting suspension. We remember earlier this week, he told Mickey Loomis, and Mickey Loomis told the media that he wanted a face-to-face meeting with Roger Goodell. Well, as of this morning, it looks like our guy Alvin is getting his wish because Adam Schefter reports that Kamara is expected to meet today in New York City with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell regarding his potential suspension. Per sources, we know that he reached a plea agreement in July, no longer facing a felony charge for his role in the fight on the eve of the Pro Bowl in February of 2022. That is significant. There is a big difference between a felony and a misdemeanor, right? Legally speaking. But as far as the NFL goes and as far as imposing discipline, Kamara was still on video. He was still caught punching that guy. And honestly, I don't think this meeting is going to do much good. I commend Alvin for sure for being proactive. He should try to do this, do his due diligence, at the very, very least, tell his side of the story. But I know Roger Goodell well enough, I think, by now to know that that he's not going to care very much. You still made the league look bad in his eyes, and he's still going to get suspended. How much longer? I don't know, but I don't think this meeting is going to affect very much. Still props for Alvin for setting it up and making it happen, but I don't think meeting with Roger Goodell is going to do very much. And frankly, the image of him and Alvin Kamara hanging out is kind of funny. I wonder what kind of common ground those guys would find, and we'll see if this meeting does any good for our guy Alvin Kamara, Taylor.
What do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to hang out, or are they just going to do a serious buttoned-up meeting? Look, I gave my thoughts on this a little bit yesterday. I think Alvin Kamara is making and not necessarily a mistake. Again, like you said, I don't necessarily think it's going to help anything. I don't think because Kamara is going to go up to Goodell and be like, hey, sorry about the offseason, Raj. It won't happen again. Goodell's going to be like, oh, dude, no big deal. Water under the bridge.
Let's have a drink.
Yeah, we'll sweep it under the rug. Let's go have some scotch together. That's not going to happen. I mean, he gets a free trip to New York out of it. I'm assuming the NFL or the Saints or somebody's paying for it.
Oh, yeah, they're going to take care of him.
I appreciate Alvin Kamara's effort. I appreciate wanting to put this behind you. But, again, like I said yesterday, is this number one on the NFL's priority list? I don't know. I don't know all the crap they're dealing with. Until you are not suspended until you are. This may speed up the process, sure, but would you rather speed up the process, or would you rather this linger a little bit and actually carry into next year? I don't know. I don't actually know which one's better. He's getting suspended regardless. So, I mean, yeah, it's good for him. And honestly, props to Roger Goodell a little bit for taking this meeting. He really didn't have to, but I don't think it's really going to help anything.
Honestly, I think maybe we've been talking about this story a little bit too much, man. Like, I think worst case scenario, he misses like 5 or 6 games, but the Saints have a little bit of depth at running back to where I think they're going to be okay. As long as Kamara is back for the stretch run, they definitely are going to need him at some point. But as long as it's suspension, and it usually doesn't take place at the end of the season, I think the Saints are going to be okay. We talked yesterday about the backfield and how much better it is this year. I mean, last season behind Alvin, thank God he didn't miss that much time. He only missed 3 or 4 games last season. But behind Alvin, you had an older Mark Ingram, not 2018 Mark Ingram, washed up Mark Ingram, and you had guys like Eno Benjamin and Dwayne Washington behind him. Taysom Hill mixed in a little bit, but Taysom can only do so much, and he plays a bunch of other positions. This year, the Saints are set up a lot better, so we'll see what happens with Alvin Kamara and his suspension there. At the very least, got a meeting with Roger Goodell, so we'll see if that helps. The Saints continue practice today, really, really hot. They're going to hold a lot of their practice inside today. Still will be open to the media, so we'll still be able to get some boots on the ground reporting from our guests, but they're dealing with the heat out there, and the Saints have been practicing enough now to at least make some observations, and we got some of that from our guy Jeff Duncan on Twitter. Jeff Duncan, good friend of the show. He posted some observations or some thoughts that he has from training camp so far, and to me it's interesting. He posted 6 items here, and he talks about the passing attack being very improved. The tight end cores are looking really good, including Jimmy Graham. We'll talk about that in a moment, but Olave and Shaheed both look really good. We had Holden Mayo on the other day on Monday, and he talked about Shaheed looking like the best player on the field at times. So I'm excited to ask Ross Jackson, our 8 a.m. guest, see what he thinks of Raheed Shaheed. But lots of media members very impressed with what the second-year receiver is doing. He's definitely going to have a bigger role in the offense this year. Then Penning and Breesy, both works in progress. Penning, second year along the offensive line. At the very least, he's healthy. That's a good thing. And Breesy, we remember coming out of high school, he was the number 1 player in the country. He did some really good stuff at Clemson, but he dealt with some injuries. He dealt with some personal trauma, the loss of a family member, and he's trying to get up to speed a little bit. So that is to be expected for him. For Penning, you need to see the results a little bit quicker. The Saints are going to count on him a lot this year at that tackle spot. Then he talks about team defense or the speed on the team's defense being a question mark. I'm definitely curious about that. We talked about the cornerback position looking really good. The safeties maybe still a little bit of a question mark. You have Matthew, you have May, you have some guys that you signed to fill in behind them, including Lonnie Johnson. But safety maybe a little bit more of a question mark than cornerback. Maybe that's what Jeff's alluding to a little bit there. And then the last observation that Jeff makes is that Mike Thomas needs some time. And this has been kind of a common thing that I've been seeing, Taylor. Michael Thomas, when he's healthy, is a very violent route runner. He's somebody who is very physical, getting off the line of scrimmage, very crisp in his route running. I think that's what Jeff is talking about. Not necessarily that like he's running slow or anything like that, but his mannerisms, those quick, violent movements that we're used to seeing from Michael Thomas when he's at full strength, we're not seeing quite yet. Hopefully that's something that comes along, and hopefully he's actually able to stay on the field.
Look, hearing Michael Thomas needs time, it sounds like one of those movies I've watched over and over, and I know exactly how it's going to end. But look, that is the consensus we've kind of heard out of training camp. It's like he's looked good at time. We've seen the spurts. We've seen the splashes. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent. But I don't worry about it too much. Michael Thomas has never been a guy that's a burner that's going to take the top off the defense. I never thought he was a particularly great route runner, at least not a complete route tree. I mean, he's great at the shorter intermediate. He's not a downfield guy. I mean, I don't think there's a big relearning curve there, if you will. Again, I think he just needs some time. Like we said, he's only played in a handful of games in the last 3 years. I don't think it's anything to be overly concerned about. Now, if he sits out a day because of an injury, that's where I'm cautioned, like, whoa, hold up, is this something more major? But him shaking off the rust in training camp, that's something I kind of expected.
Yeah, just stay healthy, like you said. As long as he's not missing any time because of injuries, you're okay with that. And I still have the utmost faith in Michael Thomas. I don't think he's ever going to go for 1,700 yards again, but he could definitely still be a 1,000-yard guy. He can still be a very productive receiver. Like, I disagree a little bit with what you said. I think he is good in the second or third levels of the field. But even if you just want to use him as slant boy, even if you just want to throw him slants, short area of the field, make easy catches, get easy first downs, move the sticks, he's still very valuable if you're just using him in that role. Guys like Chris Olave and Shaheed can pick up the rest of the slack. But I still think Michael Thomas has a lot to offer. Just have to hope he stays healthy. Hasn't really done that the last 3 years. So we'll see what happens there. Somebody who is healthy, somebody who has a lot of football in front of him this season is the rookie running back Kendre Miller. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. Apparently he's looking really good, and he's looked even better this week when they've gone to pads. Now, the interesting thing with Kendre Miller is that the real test is going to start for him today, because the team's starting to install a whole lot more of their offense, and he's going to be asked to do a whole lot more in terms of, protection, running routes, chip blocks, stuff like that. And that's where it becomes really hard to make the jump from college to the NFL. Sometimes with high school to college as well, you see guys like John Emery struggle with that kind of stuff. But that's also really significant when it comes to making the jump from college to the NFL. And the next couple of days is going to be very important at practice for Kendre Miller. And I know Taylor really likes him, watched a lot of him in college. He thinks he can contribute a lot as a rookie. So very important times for Kendre Miller here.
Dude, the more I see Kendre Miller, the more I love this guy. I mean, again, I text you on draft night. I've always been really high on Kendre Miller. He's going to have a role on this team. We just talked about the Alvin Kamara lingering issue. Kamara, no Kamara, this guy's going to play a lot of football, I think. You got that three-headed monster in the backfield who a lot of people are sleeping on Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really great free agent signing. I know that Kamara's kind of been your guy, and then the fun new toy to watch out there is Kendre Miller. But Williams, let's not sleep on him either. But yeah, Kendre Miller, I think he's an underrated pass catcher. From what I've seen of him, he looks like he runs really good routes out of the backfield. He didn't do it at TCU, but it's not because he couldn't. They just didn't really require that out of him in their offense. I think that he has the potential in the future to be an every down back for you. I'm really excited about Miller.
Yeah, reminds you a little bit of Kamara coming out, right? Same round too. We'll see if he can overtake Kamara eventually. Maybe not this year, but if you remember when the Saints got Alvin Kamara, when they drafted him, they had just signed Adrian Peterson. And Adrian Peterson still had plenty of good football left. He still had some good years after he left the Saints. But Kamara came in. He was really good. He was a really diverse player, and he took a lot of his snaps. We'll see if that doesn't happen, at least to some degree, with Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara now. And I'm happy you brought up Jamal Williams, man. Led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year, had 17 of those things. And it reminds me a lot the situation with him in Detroit, the situation the Saints had with Mark Ingram a couple of years ago when he left. Just kind of dollars and cents, not good communication between the organization and the player, his agent. Just a few dollars, like a little bit of money, made the difference between him staying in Detroit and coming to New Orleans. They got David Montgomery, who some people think is a downgrade, and you're not paying much less than you were going to pay Jamal Williams. So that is somewhere where the Saints really benefited. And I agree with you, man. He's going to help a lot. Maybe not as an every down guy, but between 20s and near the goal line, he can be very effective in certain situations. So you're very deep there, not just with Kamara, but with Williams, with Kendre Miller. Still some questions along the offensive line. We talked about it a lot this week. The run blocking needs to be a lot better for the Saints, but you feel really good about the depth there. We mentioned the tight ends for a second. Apparently, Jimmy Graham is looking really good. He's making some contested catches. He's showing a lot of leadership. I think he might take Jesse James's roster spot, man. We've talked a lot about Jesse James. He was a good player. A couple years ago, there was a controversial play when he was on the goal line with the Steelers. He reached out. It looked like he scored, but it ended up not even really being a catch. We've seen a lot of that, right? It's come to my attention that he didn't play last year either. He was on the Browns. He appeared in 2 games. He did not record a single stat, and he went on IR in September. So for people saying Jesse James has more experience or he's played more recently than Jimmy, that's not really true. He played in 2 games last year. He did not record a single stat, and I think maybe he would have had a role. He would have had an opportunity to make the Saints, but just based on what I'm hearing, again, I'm not at practice, and we'll ask Ross later, I think Jimmy Graham has kind of passed him up in the pecking order, and I think Jimmy Graham is going to make this team, but that's yet to be determined. That's just my opinion. We'll talk more Saints with Ross Jackson coming up in a little bit. Before we break, do want to talk a little bit about Trevor Penning. Forgot to mention that his rep count went up a lot yesterday. He had been limited the previous week, and he went from just doing 2 snaps per session with the team drills to being with the 1s the entire session, and even staying with the 2s for some more reps after that. And that's music to my ears, man. That is what Trevor Penning needs. He needs reps. He needs experience. Like, he got injured so early in the preseason last year, and he came back towards the end, which I appreciated. Some guys may have shut it down and said, let me get ready for next season, but he came back, tried to play in at least the last couple of games, got hurt again. So that's a little concerning, but at the same time, it's encouraging that he's out there now and he's getting a lot of reps, even getting extra reps in with the 2s, which I like. You're going to have a lot of rotation along that offensive line. But we talked about how important health is. It's very important when it comes to Trevor Penning. So we're glad he's healthy. We're glad he's practicing well over there at Saints training camp. We'll talk more Saints with Ross Jackson coming up at 8 a.m. 1 segment left in the hour. We'll talk some foolishness like we do at every 45 segment here on OTB. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to Ross Jackson at 8 a.m., Tom Hart at 8:30, and then Marlin Favorite coming up at 9 a.m. This is Off the Bench. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Continues its commitment to professional-grade engineering in the GMC Truck Series, like offering the world's first available 6-function multi-pro tailgate on Sierra. This tailgate takes innovation to the next level with 6 distinct functions that let you load, unload, and access the cargo box quicker and easier. The list goes on, but it's more than just innovative engineering. It's knowing GMC is committed to professional-grade excellence on every level. See your Bayou GMC dealer.
After further review with Matt Moscona, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 5 brands on one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, our final LSU camp preview. We'll get your Saints camp report. We'll do Pluckers trivia, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Hour number 1 pretty much in the books here on a Wednesday. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Hester. Hester will be back tomorrow. We'll lead off hour number 2 talking to Ross Jackson of the Locked On Saints podcast. We'll talk to Tom Hart of the SEC Network coming up at 8:30 as well. To end the hour here, something funny that I saw from a Mets game yesterday. They called it a streaker on Twitter. Technically wasn't a streaker. That's why I'm showing it on video here. But there was a guy at a Mets game yesterday that ran onto the field, was just trying to start chaos, and apparently he outraged security. If you're watching on YouTube, you see this fan at the Mets game hop over the fence, the outfield wall, and make his way into the stands. Now, they're telling me that they eventually caught this man, but every time you see something like this, they're caught by security and they're tackled, usually very violently. So this man deserves a little bit of credit for having the speed to get away from security, having the hops to get up over the fence there. And if anything, a funny story. Very unsure of his motives here. Not sure exactly what he's trying to do, but that was really funny. So I thought I would show all of you there. Good athleticism shown by our guy there. Now, y'all know I like to do play-by-play, and this is something as a play-by-play man you need to be prepared for, because this can happen in the middle of a game. And the clip I'm about to show you guys, I'm sure many of you have seen. A couple of years ago, Kevin Harlan, best play-by-play guy out there on radio, at least in my opinion, was calling a game between the Rams and the 49ers, and something similar to this happened. This was Kevin Harlan's call of a man running on the field, and look how he handled this like a pro.
San Francisco in the secondary. Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop
Look
that
out,
man.
here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes
coming
the blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line. That was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.
I tell you what, that was a great call on your part.
0. There's a fan on the field. Kevin Harlan doing the play-by-play of that is more exciting than anything that's happening in the game. That was awesome. They corrected me in the chat, by the way. My bad. That last clip was at a Marlins game, not a Mets game. Marlins game. That was in Miami. But that clip was awesome, man. That is some excellent play-by-play work by Kevin Harlan. If that ever happens to me while I'm calling a game, I can only hope to do such a good job like he did right there.
Oh, dude, it was great. I remember he had one. It was Thursday night football about 3 years ago. A cat ran onto the field, and security was trying to catch him. And, of course, they weren't even going to get close to this cat. The cat was way too nimble, and he broke down that beautifully. When I think of streakers, I think of do you remember the game about 5 years ago? It was a college game. I don't remember who Oregon was playing, but they're in the huddle on the sidelines, and a dude takes off running down the field, outrunning security. The Oregon running back looks over his shoulder from the huddle, takes off running, and just body slams this dude about 50 yards down the field, and then just casually walks back to the huddle. That was my favorite. Bobby Wagner did it a couple years ago when the person had like that pink smoke running across the field or whatever. That's you got to love a good streaker when it ends well.
Yes, I love when players get involved. It's like kind of like Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher probably wanted to go tackle that guy. Like, I'm out here, I'm frustrated. You guys are making me more frustrated, just making everybody's job harder. That is funny. And I guess I'll wrap up the hour telling a story about my uncle Juan. He lives in Miami. Shout out to the Marlins. He might have been in the stadium there. But I went to the World Cup in Germany back when I was 12. Awesome experience with my father, my stepmom, that whole side of my family. And my Uncle Juan was like, hey, you should go streaking. You should take off all your clothes. You should run out onto the field in front of the billions of people watching because you're young. You're going to get away with it. Absolute worst comes to worst. Maybe you had to, pay like a small fine or spend the night in juvenile detention in Germany, but you're going to be known for the rest of your life. You're going to be world famous. Of course, I did not go through with that. Maybe 11-year-old me, pondered a thought in my head for a second, but I did not run onto the field naked. Sorry, Uncle Juan. And if anybody out there, your uncle tells you to do that, probably a good idea to tell them no. Not worth it, in my opinion. That's why I didn't do it. But this guy was not feeling that. He ran onto the field at the Marlins game. He had clothes on, thank God. But he outran security, and that's really impressive. So that's why I wanted to highlight that. All right, that'll do it for hour number one. Somewhat choppy. We'll be better in the second hour, especially given the fact that Ross Jackson is coming on to kick off hour number two. We'll talk Saints. Stay tuned. This is Off the Bench. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Yeah. Well, they're like, Rich Rod at West Virginia, a game away from the Natty. I can't believe it. Go to Patient Plus Urgent Care.
It all worked out for you.
Yeah, right? Patient Plus UC.com, where you will see the difference. Quality care for life's unexpected moments. Also, great commercials and great mascot with that little puppet. I love that little puppet. But look, it's not about games, okay? This is about your health. It's about getting in, get better. There's colds going around, stomach bugs going around. If you and your family need the treatment you deserve, go to Patient Plus Urgent Care. You're going to see the difference. PatientPlusUC.com.
T-Bob's right. You will see the difference as soon as you walk into any of the facilities, right? It's not like they have just one main facility and the rest of them aren't up to par. I mean, they all are going to blow you away. So any that you walk into, remember there's one that's convenient for you in the Baton Rouge area. No matter where you're at, find the location that is nearest you. You can do that at PatientPlusUC.com. Get in and get better.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. Let me go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
What's up, people? Welcome in to hour number 2, Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Hester. One more day. Hester will be back tomorrow. Casey Gaines is on the audio board playing all the tunes. Taylor Sharp is getting us on YouTube and helping me out a little bit. De facto co-host here today. Please continue to talk to me in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat. Interaction has been awesome today. Have a great rest of the show lined up. We'll talk to Tom Hart, play-by-play man in the SEC Network at 8:30. Big Fave, Marlin Favorite, coming up at 9 a.m. But we'll kick off the hour talking some more Saints and getting some boots on the ground reporting. We'll do that from one of my favorite Saints personalities. We are talking about Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast. You could follow him on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. Ross, it's been a while, man. How you doing? Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, man, for sure. No, hey, absolutely a pleasure. Good morning to you, man, and thanks so much for having me on. Looking forward to chopping it up with you.
Yes, sir. Always enjoyed doing so. Before we get to the football, talk to me about the heat, man. Apparently, it's been very intense out there. They're only going to be spending an hour outside going forward due to the heat. Fans will still get to see team drills at least, but the early part of practice will be inside, closed to fans. You guys will still get to be out there, but from somebody who's actually experiencing not just the heat, but the humidity down there in Metairie, what has it been like? Is it really this bad?
Yeah, it's toasty, man. It's toasty out there. Yeah, I think yesterday in particular was kind of the toughest day out of all of them thus far. But, you know, we're also standing on the sidelines, no helmets, no pads, not running around, everything like that. I can't imagine what the players must be going through, especially they're also wearing those guardian caps across multiple positions now as well. So I'm sure that only adds to the heat. So, yeah, it's a good call by the Saints organization to put in some, precautions in place to keep everybody healthy, keep everybody safe, especially with the hot weather that's supposed to persist here over the course of the next week.
Got you. Stay hydrated, man. That's going to be really important.
Trying,
That's going to be really important next couple of days. Kind of going off the wall here for my first football question. I saw the Madden ratings come out yesterday, and the Saints posted about their top 5 rated players. And, you don't want to put too much stock into Madden ratings, although I'm sure the evaluators do a really good job and they do their homework. But the highest rated Madden player on the Saints was a name that I did not expect, and that's Tyrann Mathieu. He has a 91 overall rating, and in my head, that's a little bit surprising. Now, I thought Tyrann finished the season last year a lot better than he started. I think he is in the right place a lot of the time when fans don't see and he's a big part of this football team. But from someone like you who's been at practices now going into this season, what did you think of Tyron's work last year, his first year in New Orleans? And what do you think his role is going to look like this year as kind of a veteran leader and now some more experience in this secondary?
Yeah, I think Tyron deserves the rating that he got, and I think that it's one of the few ratings that they actually got right. I mean, they barely even get the rosters right on that game these days, but when it comes down to the ratings, who knows? But I do think that Tyron played a great brand of safety last year. He was asked to be in the box a ton. He was asked to play deep a ton. So, that versatile role that Dennis Allen wanted him to be able to play, Tyron was able to play. And Tyron was the one guy in the secondary that was able to play all throughout the season and was completely available to the team all throughout. So not only did he have to sort of, get a grasp of what the scheme was, what was being asked of him, but he also had to do with a rotating cast of characters around him throughout the entire season, whether that's in corner, center. Let me switch into the Pelicans talk real quick. But corner and safety, as well as, of course, in the slot. And so I think when you consider that and you consider the Saints' ability to take away the big play later on in the season, he was a part of a defense that allowed only no more than 20 points per game over the course of the last 8 games of the year. I think you really saw him turn the corner. You saw him get more comfortable, and I think you're seeing even better brand of that right now throughout training camp as he's a little bit more comfortable in the system with another year in training camp getting under his belt.
Like to hear it. Ross Jackson is our guest, host of the Locked on Saints podcast. You could follow him on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. We usually ask about Jake Haener later on in the interview, but I know you talked about him a little bit on your pod yesterday. You're really excited about some of the stuff he's doing. Obviously, probably not going to play this year, given disaster doesn't happen with the injuries in the quarterback room. But what do you make of Jake Haener so far, and how would you describe his progress on his first NFL team?
Yeah, I mean, the guy looks like he's been playing football, playing in the NFL for the past couple of years. I'd say the same thing about Kendre Miller. Both of them just look to have adjusted to the NFL speed a lot faster than you would imagine. Now, that doesn't mean that the Saints should be entertaining turning the ball over to, Jake Haener as the starter or anything crazy like that. But I do think that it has a lot of value. And a guy like Jake Haener ends up having a lot of value for your offense, even if he never sees the field in 2023, which ideally, as you mentioned, from the injury perspective, you hope he doesn't. And the reason why I think he still brings you a lot of value is that the Saints have kind of thrown the first team, second team, third team convention out of the window here over the course of training camp. You're watching guys like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed taking snaps with second and third teams. You're watching Michael Thomas taking snaps with second teams. You're watching guys like Brian Edwards and James Washington, A.T. Perry, Lynn Bowden, these guys are taking snaps with teams 1 through 3. And so I think that when you consider that, you want to make sure that if those guys are taking all of those snaps, if the Saints are rotating a bunch of different players to get a look at them, you want to make sure they're still getting valuable snaps when they are getting those 13 reps, that they're not taking those reps off because there's a quarterback that can't get the ball to them. Or last year, or the past couple of years in the Ian Book situations where the quarterback just looked to run more than he looked to pass. And I think that right now you've got guys in Derek Hart, Jameis Winston, and now Jake Haener who can all deliver NFL throws all over the field. And I think that carries a lot of value for your roster, 1 through, let's call it 87, right, not including the 3 quarterbacks. And then that translates to your practice over the course of the weeks after your 53-man roster is established. Sure, your practice squad members are getting good work in with a good quarterback. And if they continue to rotate players, they end up getting work no matter which quarterback is throwing them the football. That's a really unique situation to be in if you're a skill position player.
Speaking of skill position players, I've heard Rashid Shaheed has had a great camp from a lot of our guests. They have kind of brought him up unprompted, including Holden Mayo, who came on the show on Monday. He said he looked like the best player on the field at times, and this is somebody who really shined as an undrafted rookie, 488 yards, 2 touchdowns, lots of big plays after being undrafted from Weber State, also known as the Fighting Damian Lillards. But Rashid is going to have a bigger role this year. How would you describe that role, and how would you describe how he's looked at camp so far?
Yeah, I think he's looked really solid in camp so far, and that goes all the way back to OTAs and minicamp where he was also impressing. I think he's becoming a little bit more subtle as a route runner, which I think is kind of his next step for sure. You know that he can be a kick returner. You know that he can make those big catches, but he's becoming a little bit more of a three-level threat, a guy that's going to be able to sell that vertical push, which defensive backs have to take seriously. They have to honor the fact that he has such incredible deep speed. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in the dust by the time that he runs that 9 route. And so because of that, it forces them to do things like commit to that vertical release a little bit earlier, flip their hips a little bit earlier, which then gives him the leverage for underneath cuts, things like that. So I think you're going to watch him develop into a lot more of a weapon in the receiving game. And I wouldn't be surprised to still see him utilized in ways like, jet sweeps and reverses and and running routes out of the backfield and all these other kind of multiple things that they can do with him. He's far more than a gadget guy. He's far more than just a take the top off the defense guy. He'll be a real offensive weapon here in 2023.
That's exciting. Pete Carmichael can do a lot with that, hopefully. And now with Derek Carr at the helm. Since we're talking wide receivers, how does Mike Thomas look so far? The important thing is he's healthy. He's participating in full. But somebody who hasn't played a lot of football the last 3 years will have to get himself into football shape, right? How would you describe how Mike looks out there?
Yeah, and I would say that exactly that is still in progress, right? Like when he's out there and he's got the opportunity to be able to get going, he's going to, kind of go 110% and make sure that, he's giving his all the way throughout. But then you look at kind of where the rest of this all is in terms of where's his, furthered along progress and everything. And that is going to take a little bit of time. And so I think that, you're still watching him kind of figure that part of his game out and get, kind of back up to speed. But he's got a bigger chip on his shoulder than ever before, as he often describes. And he's a guy that's supremely confident in his talents, and rightfully so. And I don't think it's going to be very long before he's fully back to kind of the Michael Thomas that we're accustomed to seeing, and how, he's going to be able to pull it all together. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch over the course of training camp. But, that's not to say that he hasn't already looked good. He's off to a great start, but he's certainly on a progress-based process with the New Orleans Saints, who are kind of trying to make sure that he is taking his time getting back to, being full, not necessarily full go, but, working his way back up to 100% as opposed to just trying to, leap there as quickly as possible.
For sure. Got to take your time there. And you have a lot more depth at wide receiver this year. So that bodes well for Mike. Alvin Kamara got his meeting with Roger Goodell, Ross. We'll see if that affects the length suspension he gets. But where are you at on Alvin Kamara? You don't have to speculate and guess how many games he'll be suspended if you don't want to. But do you think any good will come out of this meeting with Goodell? And do you think we'll at least get an answer soon?
Yeah, I think that there's a chance that there's two things. This really can only help Alvin Kamara, because he's obviously not going to go in there with anything that's going to, further a case against them, right? So it can really only help him. And then the other piece of it is that, you're kind of watching to see when are we going to get the news about what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara, what suspension he has, if any, here in 2023. Maybe this actually helps to further along that process, or gives Roger Goodell and whoever that, committee is going to be that's looking at Alvin Kamara's case, more information that potentially leads to the investigation, the NFL's investigation, taking a longer time. So we're going to get, some clarity, hopefully, around this pretty soon, but we'll see how this meeting goes between Kamara and Roger Goodell. But I do think that it's, a unique thing that Alvin Kamara is doing. It's uniquely Alvin Kamara to take, kind of the situation into his own hands. And, I would still expect him to see a multi-game suspension here in 2023, just based on, video evidence of the altercation. Although Alvin Kamara is probably going to be looking to provide context to that, because what we don't know is what happened before. We don't have any audio, all that kind of stuff. And then the other thing that you're kind of looking at here is that this did happen during an NFL-sanctioned event with the Pro Bowl. There was a reason that Alvin Kamara was in Vegas. And so maybe that, has some weight to it. So I would still expect a multi-game suspension, but I'm down from the 6 games that I expected per the NFL Code of Conduct policy when that was a felony charge that was dropped down to a misdemeanor in Vegas. So I do think that right now what Alvin Kamara is doing potentially helps to reduce that number in terms of how many games he sees whenever that suspension happens.
Hopefully. Before we get you out of here, going a little long, but I'd like to ask you one question about each team in the division, because the schedule supposedly is supposed to be, really doable for the Saints this year, and the division is not very tough. You got a rookie QB in Carolina, you have whatever's happening in Tampa Bay, and then you have Atlanta continuing to figure out life as an NFL franchise, which they've had trouble with the last 40 or so years. But let's start with Tampa, I suppose. Do you think they're tanking? Like, a lot of people are saying that just based on how, how passive they've been in the free agency market and just looking up and down their roster. Like, is Tampa going to win more than 3 games this year in your mind?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough team to look at right now because Baker Mayfield's good for a couple. He's going to get you a couple of those exciting wins. That's going to do that. But do they even start Baker Mayfield? Do they just fully commit to collapsing for Caleb and they start Kyle Trask? I don't know. I think it's going to be they're the most interesting team in my opinion to watch in terms of not having any idea who they are. I think the Saints are interesting for different reasons. I think Carolina and Atlanta are interesting because they're young quarterbacks. Tampa's, interesting because it's kind of a dumpster fire, that roster right now. And so I'm really interested to see, who they roll with and how they make that decision and what that ends up yielding. But yeah, I do think that they're the team that's probably dead last in the division right now.
So I like to poke fun at Atlanta, which I kind of did there a minute ago, but I want to ask you about a specific player there. Kyle Pitts, in his first 3 years in the NFL, has as many touchdowns as Jimmy Graham does the last 3 years. And this is 2020's Jimmy Graham. This isn't early 2010s Jimmy Graham. Well, what has happened with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta? Is it just a case of the quarterback play has been subpar? Had they not done a good enough job of scheming and getting him the football? This was a superstar tight end coming out of Florida. They almost beat LSU in 2019 because he had such a big game. What has happened to Kyle Pitts in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons?
Yeah, I think quarterback situation is a part of it, but I also think that, look, it's a testament to how challenging it is to play tight end in the NFL. Like, you're not just another wide receiver like you might have been at Florida or in the college game. You're having to block, you're having to understand protections, you're having to sit back and pass protection, you're having to run these play action, looks, and you're having to run kind of this chip and release or Y leak things. Like, there's a lot more that you're asked to do as an NFL player at that position than in college. And so I do think that even though, he was, he had a great rookie season, relative to the tight end position, it doesn't always translate to finding the end zone, and it certainly doesn't always translate to sustained success. As your job and role grows in the NFL at that position, it becomes harder and harder to be able to translate and be successful immediately. And so I think what you're seeing are a little bit of the growing pains for that position and Kyle Pitts as well.
Finally, we get to Carolina. Most people are picking the Saints to win the division, but the few people that want to be contrarian are usually picking the Panthers. And they have some talent there. They have a lot of young talent. The consensus seems to be, Ross, that people think Bryce Young will eventually be good, but it's going to be hard for them to have success during his rookie year. Do you think Bryce Young can maybe surprise some people as a rookie? Frank Reich already named him the starter. He has Andy Dalton as a backup and is kind of like a mentor. I think that will be very beneficial to Bryce Young. I know he'll be good in the future, but do you think he can be good as a rookie and maybe surprise some people around the league?
Yeah, I think that there's a chance. I'm not necessarily the highest on Bryce Young. We just know that sub 6 foot quarterbacks don't always make it in the league.
Fair.
And so I think that that's just one of those things where you're kind of betting on him to be an outlier. But I do think that of all the outlier options that are out there that kind of fall under that category, that Bryce Young is probably the guy that's able to get it done. You know what I mean? And so, we'll see exactly what it is with him and everything, and the way that it's going to eventually work out with him. But hold on 1 second. Sorry.
All good.
Yeah. I'm just on a radio call first. Yeah. I'm media. Thank you. Sorry, I'm being questioned by the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Department for why I'm sitting in a parking lot on the phone.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Live radio, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. So I do think that he could be the guy that ends up becoming, that top player. But I don't know how quickly it's going to translate for him. That'll be the big sort of question mark for this year for him.
Okay. Well, Ross, I guess I'll let you go talk to the jerk policeman, tell him to go get a life. That's outrageous. I'm sorry that happened to you, man. But thanks so much.
That's okay.
Thanks so much for joining the show. We appreciate your insight as always. I'm sure T-Bob and Jake will have you back on really soon. Stay hydrated out there, man. That heat is no joke. Please stay hydrated for me.
Yes, I will stay with water and without handcuffs. I do promise you that. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yes, sir. Take care, my friend. Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints podcast, having to go deal with the Jefferson Parish police. Get a life, man. Like, come on. It's 8:17 in the morning. You really think my man's doing anything nefarious out there? Unbelievable. That'll do it for this segment. We'll come back and have a short seg before we get to Tom Hart. Got some LSU football news we need to get to. We'll have games soon, but for a few more days, we will have to talk about these award watch lists because we got some more Tigers on them. And there's a lot of watch lists. There's a lot of players. We might as well discuss at least some of them. We'll come back, have a short seg, then talk to Tom Hart of the SEC Network. This is Off the Bench on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Hunt. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. JD Piquel from On3 Sports is back. It's a What If Wednesday, and my top storylines entering LSU fall camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Shout out to Ross Jackson coming on in the last segment, talking some Saints, giving us some boots on the ground reporting. Really hot out there. If you're outside today, Baton Rouge or NOLA, be careful with the heat, man. Stay hydrated. It is very important. LSU knows all about that. The football team, they're getting ready to start camp themselves. And LSU getting really hyped up, not just as a team. They were picked to finish second in the division behind Alabama at SEC Media Days. Almost picked to finish first. But the individual players as well, getting a lot of love. We talked yesterday about Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors both being on the Maxwell Award watch list. Well, yesterday some more watch lists came out. And it looks like Will Campbell and Emory Jones, both the offensive tackles, as well as defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo, are both up for the Outland Trophy. And the Outland Trophy goes to the best interior lineman in college football. And then more news with LSU players. The Nagurski Award released their watch list yesterday, and both Mekhi Wingo and Harold Perkins made that list. And the Nagurski Trophy is awarded to, my computer froze,
the best defensive player in college football.
The best defensive player in college football. Thank you, Taylor. Thanks for nothing, Google. Now it works, of course. But again, goes to show how much hype LSU is getting, not just as a team, but individual players. And Mekhi Wingo is somebody who probably deserves a little bit more credit. Came in last year, was an all SEC freshman. The year before at a different school, came to LSU, was going to have a role no matter what. But after the injury to Mason Smith, he really had to step in and play a lot of snaps, and he was awesome. Now you pair that alongside Mason Smith, you could have a very scary interior defensive line there. So well-deserved, but I will say there are a lot of people on these lists. I'm seeing like 60 or 70 names on these watch lists. So we'll see how much of a chance they had to actually take home the award. But the fact that these players are on this watch list, I think it is it really shows the expectations, again, not just for the team, but for a lot of these individual players.
Yeah, it does. And again, it's a preseason watch list. It's not exactly a short list of people to watch. It's just one of those recognition things like, hey, you did a good job last year. If you could step up, make some plays, you got a chance to win some hardware at the end of the year. I love that Mekhi Wingo's on not one but two of these lists, because for a guy that ended the year last year as an All-American, he got to go to SEC Media Day, but kind of all the talk at SEC Media Days was of a guy like Mason Smith. It's weird to say, like, Mekhi Wingo might be the most underrated All-American in the country, if that's a thing, but he's certainly getting the recognition he deserves. If you remember at SEC Media Days, he said a lot of times LSU didn't have the depth last year they have this year on the defensive line. He had to play every single snap. That's tough on a big-bodied defensive lineman who's doing the dirty work inside, play in and play out, to play 60, 70, 80 snaps a game. That takes a lot. He handled it like a champ. He made a lot of plays, and I expect big things from him and Mason Smith in the middle of that defense. When you look at it, you got those two guys. Mason Smith, every bit as talented as a Mekhi Wingo, and then a guy like Harold Perkins on this list as well at linebacker. That goes back to how good could this front seven be for LSU? Could it be one of the best front sevens LSU's ever had? I think so, because you got those. You got the defensive line. You got the depth this year that you may not have had. If Mason Smith could stay healthy next to Mekhi Wingo, you got Harold Perkins moving to the middle, which the other day we talked about it. A lot of people don't like the move. I love the move. Then you have Omar Spates right next to him. This has potential to be one of the best front sevens in college football.
I love when people tell coaches how to coach. Like, I think Matt House knows what he's doing. He's coached a lot of really good linebackers, and I'm with you, man. We know what Perkins brings as an edge rusher, like coming off the edge. Hester compared him to Von Miller, not just in the results, but in his technique, right? Like, he is a great edge rusher, but he has potential to be a lot more than that. Like, he's somebody who can now improve a lot in coverage, somebody who can have more dominion and changing the plays, stuff like that, pre-snap. I'm really excited to see what Harold Perkins can do as a Mike linebacker. And I think they have the right DC in Matt House, somebody who specializes in linebackers, to help him get there. So not here, but nationwide, Harold Perkins might be a little underrated. We'll see what happens when the season starts. High hopes for him, along with many other LSU players. All right, let's take a break. Let's get to our second guest of the program. Let's talk to one of my favorite play-by-play guys. That is Tom Hart of the SEC Network. Chop it up about some SEC football, and I'm definitely going to ask him some play-by-play questions too, because I have the mic today. Yes, sir. This is hour number 2 of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, our final LSU camp preview. We'll get your Saints camp report. We'll do Pluckers trivia, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Very excited to talk some college football with our next guest. He is a play-by-play man for the SEC Network. You can follow him on Twitter, or on X, I suppose, at Tom_Hart. I assume no relation to Brett and Owen Hart, but very glad he's taking the time today. Tom, appreciate you answering my text. Appreciate you coming on the show today. How you doing on this Wednesday?
We're all part of the foundation, anyone and everyone, even if you don't share the surname. So I'm happy to be with you. Who takes vacation in August? Like, if you're covering college football, how do those two yahoos that are normally up at this hour just say, nah, I'm good?
Well, T-Bob likes to take, spontaneous vacations. Doesn't matter the time of year. And Hester has a whole lot going on right now. He just had his 5th child, as I'm sure you know, so we don't mind holding the fort down for him. But yes, you're right. Definitely a peculiar time to take a vacation. And on that same token, I kind of wanted to ask you, Tom. I'm a big play-by-play nerd. I'm a play-by-play man myself. I used to call the same games as you, as the Spanish radio voice of LSU football. Not doing that this season, I don't think. Still do play-by-play for the Saints in Spanish. So I'm very curious kind of what your routine is like these days and exactly what your day-to-day looks like right now, getting ready for a very exciting college football season.
Oh, that's a good question to kind of get in the weeds on. I don't know if the audience is interested, but you and I certainly are.
I got the mic.
right, who cares? No, this time of year, I take a very slow ramp up to the season. I'm still kind of waiting to see what my first few weeks schedule is going to look like. I have an idea, but I'm not certain. And I'll just be honest with you, like, my bandwidth is really on the sport that's in season. So it's hard for me to go all in on recruiting in the transfer portal and all of that information because rosters change, right? Even from today till 3 weeks from now, guys are going to get injured. Dudes are going to leave. There might be a last-second addition even. So I don't dive in deep right now. I just kind of slowly ramp up to save some of my sanity. So I'll start going back and watching some games from last year within the next couple of weeks once I know who I've got, and then do a deep dive into these rosters once I know what my opening week looks like.
Trust me, man, you're preaching to the choir. I know all that stuff is really important, the NIL, the transfer portal, Sam Pittman talking about new bills in the House of Representatives, but it's not as interesting to me as the actual game. So you're definitely preaching to the choir there. One more play-by-play question before we get to the football. We were talking about a fan at a Miami Marlins game that got on the field. They were calling him a streaker. Technically, he wasn't because he had clothes on, but he outran the security and hopped over the wall in center field. And as you know, as a play-by-play guy, stuff like this happens sometimes. We also played a Kevin Harlan clip where he had a really good call of an actual streaker at an NFL game. Have you, as a play-by-play guy, whether it be in a radio or a TV situation, ever had to deal with something like that mid-game?
Well, I don't know that I had a single fan or nut job run on the field. I mean, there's been a couple instances. Actually, now that I think about it, it may have happened last year for the Southern LSU game.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, that was from the press box view. That was on the left side of the field, and the ball was further down. So I don't even remember how I handled that. But one of the biggest I've ever seen wasn't just one fan and misbehaving. It was that Tennessee Ole Miss game we had a couple of years ago where a 58-minute delay with them throwing trash on the field. That was a little bit different. Like, if there's just one fan on the field or one streaker and your television cameras don't show it, it's easily ignored, although it's very tempting for me to comment on.
Mm-hmm.
When, there's 20,000 students throwing vapes and mustard bottles and golf balls on the field, and everybody could see the game's delayed for an hour, you can't exactly avoid talking about that one.
No, and you're right. It gets dangerous when it's a crowd or like a mob. I'll never forget being in the press box for the no-call NFC Championship game in 2019. The Saints lose the game. The Rams are celebrating. Fans are throwing stuff on the field, and as the PA announcer comes on to say, please don't throw stuff on the field, the stuff being thrown on the field multiplied, like in droves.
Yeah.
So it can get really dangerous out there. I know what you're saying. Tom Hart is our guest here on Off the Bench, play-by-play commentator for the SEC Network. I guess we can get into the actual football. Definitely we'll ask you some more play-by-play towards the end. But Tell me your thoughts on LSU, man. They were picked to finish second in the SEC West. The expectations are really high up here. I had a guest come on yesterday that said 10-2 would be a disappointment for Brian Kelly in year 2. So how would you describe LSU coming into the season?
I would never say 10-2 it would be a disappointment, but I think it's fair to say that 10-2 is very much attainable, and the hope is that it could be better than that. I think the bottom line with the SEC West, as good as I think LSU is, and Brian Kelly has talked about their lack of depth being the one thing that he's concerned about, and I totally get that. But from the quarterback position to the O-line to the D-line and the talent on that side of the ball, I think they're poised to do a lot of damage and make a lot of noise. The wild card for me as a whole in the West is Alabama's quarterback situation. I just think that impacts the entire division, because if one of these guys that they have can step up and kind of continue this trend of not just winning Alabama quarterbacks, but playmakers that make everybody around them better. Bryce Young was one of the most cerebral players I've ever been around. Then Alabama looks unbeatable. I mean, they really do. But we won't know that until the season starts. And we may really not know that until Alabama plays its first big game. Maybe that's week 2 against Texas. Maybe it's not. But I have a lot of belief in what LSU has, what Jaden Daniels both was, what he went through, and what he is now, and how quarterback depth will allow them to take more advantage of what made Jaden so special, especially when he was at Arizona State before his ankle injury. I mean, you account for 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns. That puts you in elite company in the SEC.
For sure. And the athleticism's always been there with Jaden, and he had a great season last year. A lot of it on the ground, but towards the end, he started attacking that third level of the field a lot more and became a lot more efficient passer. That has a lot of people really hyping him up coming into this year, and we talked about it yesterday, Tom. Last time I checked on DraftKings, he was at 12-1 odds to win the Heisman. The only guys with shorter odds right now are Quinn Ewers and Caleb Williams. That being said, do you really think Jaden Daniels is like that? Do you think he can make that next jump in his game and potentially win the Heisman Trophy?
Well, yeah, because I think if LSU is going to have the kind of success that the potential reflects, we're talking 10-2, 11-1. I do think it's fair to say 10-2 could be the baseline for this team, right? I mean, that's how good that they are top to bottom. But 10 wins in this division, as we say goodbye to divisions in the league, 10 wins in this league means that you have some monster wins, probably 1 or 2 of those coming on the road, and that you've done it with star quarterback. So I guess my dog's question, and mine too, would be this. We talk a lot about the depth at the quarterback position. Do you think Garrett Nussmeier is the kind of player that not only could spell Jaden in an injury situation, but could have success week in, week out in the SEC?
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that in the SEC title game, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of fans do think that. A lot of fans. There's a guy in the YouTube chat right now whose name is Nuss Bus Driver. So yes, a lot of people have high faith in Garrett Nussmeier. And for what it's worth, when he came in during that Southern game that you talked about with the streaker on the field, threw 2 interceptions, and a lot of people talked about that in kind of a negative light. But I think you saw the progression in his game, and based on what we've seen and based on how he's looked when he's gone on the field, I would say the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah, I don't think you can even apply anything that we saw in the Southern game to breaking him down. I mean, that would be like judging a pitcher going on a rehab assignment, or a starting player getting some spring training at bats. I mean, based on what that game was even before it started and what it turned into, I saw a guy, and having watched him over the years, he knows he can make plays. And when he's given the opportunity, he wants to go in there and take some chances and be a playmaker. The question is always with a replacement player is, are you good just for that one flash, or can you give us the consistency once your name is at the top of the scouting report? People know what to expect, and you have that pressure on you as well. So that would be my biggest question. But I mean, listen, it's a good sign that we're sitting here talking about the backup quarterback, given how prolific the starter has been.
Yes, sir. Well said. And I did want to ask you maybe about a surprise team in your mind. I know you're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty of your prep, but I really want Vanderbilt to do well. Everybody that I've asked about them has kind of shot me down, but I really like Clark Lee's mentality, being an alum there, taking the mic last year in media days and saying we can be the best program in the country, which is a crazy thought. But they did some good stuff last year. 5 wins, getting the win over Florida. Does Vanderbilt maybe fit that mold of a team that can surprise some people, like maybe make a bowl game? Do you think South Carolina can be better than 8 or 9 wins? Who's a surprise team in your mind coming into the season?
Well, I think those are 2 teams that you can focus on right off the bat for good reason. Now, my problem with Vanderbilt in terms of putting expectations on them is they lost one of the most productive running backs in the SEC and saw him transfer away. So that is a huge loss to what they were, especially in the second half of last season, and what they have the potential to be this year. I like the South Carolina pick. I think Shane Beamer proved in the back end of last season that he's not just a recruiter and not just a guy dancing in locker rooms. The guy can coach. They have a great, I hate this word, but it fits. They have a great culture there in terms of kind of everybody pulling in the same direction. And by the way, that's when people want to criticize coaches for being cheesy or, nerding out or high school Harrys, whatever, it doesn't really matter what people think outside of the building. It's how the players react to that, whether or not resonates inside the building. And I think Beamer's certainly got that. So why would we like South Carolina? Well, Spencer Rattler had a great second half of the season last year. It took him a while to learn a pro-style offense. He had never played in a pro-style offense. Now his offense will get a little simpler. They'll return to some of the stuff that he's used to, which is operating out of shotguns, having even the play call, like a 7-word play call. Rattler had a hard time with that in the first half of the season because he's used to just going up there and saying one word or one concept. And I talked to him a lot about that throughout our production meeting. So I think he'll be even more comfortable, and obviously he's got that quarterback confidence. The same reason I would pick South Carolina starting at the quarterback position. And by the way, there's a dearth of quarterback experience, as we know, in this league in terms of returning starters. But what Kentucky has there, I think, gives them great promise, especially because Kentucky has a very underrated and explosive receiving core that now get a chance to do it again with another quarterback, and with Liam Cohen back as their offensive coordinator. I think things are looking up at the Kentucky side as well. So those would be my 2. You notice that nobody wants to pick a sleeper from the West. That's just forget about it. Mm-hmm. You can't. Too much depth there.
Man, Tom, this has been awesome. I could talk football with you all morning, man. Unfortunately, we are on time constraints being on terrestrial radio here, but I'll get you out here on this one. What is the hardest part about being a professional play-by-play guy? And on the same token, what is the most rewarding part about being a play-by-play man?
Well, nobody wants to hear anybody complain when you have a dream job, and that's what I have. If you put me on the spot, I'd say sometimes the travel gets a little bit old. Unless somebody wants to throw me a private jet to really help me get back home and see my family, I'm open to business inquiries. Don't be afraid. But what I love is getting to know these players and coaches, and a lot of the players, especially, even though the SEC is big time, really before they hit the big time. And as you watch a guy for 4 years come through and you watch them mature and get better, even just from an LSU perspective, the time we spent with Burrow, before he became what he was his final year, and sitting down with him in 19 and talking to him about the potential of that team and how the playbook was now streamlined and better for him. A lot of the same stuff we just talked about with Spencer Rattler, and seeing him blow up, man. It's just a lot of fun watching these players mature and blossom into elite athletes.
Well said. Tom, appreciate the time, man. Best of luck this football season. We hope to talk to you again soon, my friend.
All right, now you need a vacation. You're working too hard.
Thanks, man. That actually means a lot coming from you, so I appreciate it very much.
I'll see you. Have a great day. Good show.
Yes, sir. You too. Appreciate you. Tom Hart, one of the best guys out there, and really, he is. Like y'all know, I study play-by-play guys. This man is a really, really good play-by-play man when it comes to television. Does great work with his analysts, does a really good job of letting the game breathe, and definitely captures the emotions of the game, which to me is the most important part of being a play-by-play man. So shout out to Tom Hart giving us a few minutes. All right, we're pretty much done with hour number 2. We'll come back. We'll do something fun/dumb for the last segment. That's what's in the document, so that's what's coming up. This is Off the Bench on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to allstartoyota.batonrouge.com, allstartoyota of batonrouge.com. Man, rare is the show that we get this deep in it without talking about our friends over there at All Star Toyota. We're right there off of Airline Highway. You can find your next Toyota at All Star. And, of course, when you're talking about a Toyota, you're talking about vehicles that stand the test of time in a big way. They last forever. So it's an investment, right? And so let's say you want to buy either new or a Toyota certified used vehicle. When you buy a Toyota from All Star, not only are you going to get the excellent customer service, you get access to the incredible service department where they actually drop you off at home when they're working on the car. They text you throughout. They don't move ahead without your approval. They pick you back up. So you get all the advantages of buying from All Star, but then also because it's Toyota, this thing's going to last. Eventually, you ain't going to be paying that car note, and you're going to be chilling, okay? Because you still got hundreds of thousands of miles left on that thing. So what are you waiting for? Get your next Toyota, All Star Toyota, right there off of Airline Highway, allstartoyota, batonrouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out.
Hey, it's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. JD Piquel from On3 Sports is back. It's a What If Wednesday, and my top storylines entering LSU fall camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
A lot of talk about the number 7 jersey lately, Taylor. I know you saw the video LSU football posted. There was a picture of a jersey with the name Brooks with the number 7. It's come to my attention that that's supposed to be Garth Brooks.
Yeah, it was it was pretty obvious. In the video, they're showing the Garth Brooks concert at LSU, but people probably got excited, thought it was Greg Brooks. I mean, common mistake.
Man, you telling me Marcel Brooks isn't going to come back and do the salsa dance after a sack? I liked him at LSU. Well, you know who is wearing number 7, Taylor? Brandon Ingram for the USA basketball team. At the FIBA World Cup, this is not the Olympics. This is the World Cup, but a basketball pretty much. And a lot of the elite NBA players don't have any interest in this competition. They just want to play in the Olympics. Although guys like LeBron that already have a bunch of gold medals don't even do that anymore. But I like that Brandon Ingram is doing this. Brandon Ingram can easily just chill at home all summer, watch basketball, watch movies, but he's going out there and he's getting some more reps. And Brandon Ingram, year to year, has become better. He's become a better player, not just scoring the ball, but as a playmaker. The stats last year, just on the surface, Taylor, really freaking good. Even if you're just looking at the box scores, 25 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 5.8 assists, pretty much 6 assists per game on 48% shooting. That's a really good player. That's a really efficient player. And this is why, not just because of Zion, and I know you're not as high on Zion as some people, but you combine a healthy BI with a healthy Zion, this team can be really good. Maybe not finals good, but at least, contending for the playoffs and maybe flirting with a home court advantage in the first round. But I'm glad BI is doing this.
Yeah, man. Like you said, there's a lot of things he could do in the offseason. There's people that aren't playing on this team. Shout out Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
But look, you pair Brandon Ingram. You just mentioned it. I'm not going to say a healthy Zion because I'm going to take the wait and see approach on that. You also got a CJ McCollum, though, kind of the leader of that team, and he's got that veteran presence, and he had a pretty good season last year as well. Yeah, if this team can stay healthy, a lot like the Saints, it's a lot similar. You're seeing the injuries in training camp. If they could stay healthy, both of the rosters are talented enough to do some nice things.
That's true. Well, the Saints got a voodoo priestess to unhex the ground the Superdome was built on before a game, and it worked. The curse was lifted. They beat the Rams that day. They went on to win the Super Bowl a few years later. The Pelicans never bought in a voodoo priestess. Maybe that's why Zion can't get on the court. I'm just joking, but I'm glad Brandon Ingram is representing his country at the FIBA World Cup. We'll lead off hour number 3 with our guy Big Fave, Marlin Favorite. Talk some more LSU football coming up next off the bench. ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Insurance companies often discourage people from getting an attorney. If I can't get you more, even after our fee, then you owe us nothing, not even our costs. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12670. Offices in Baton.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
For the radio, hello. Hello, somebody. Yeah, I'ma move my body. Yeah, I'ma be
Hello, somebody. Welcome in to hour number 3 of Off the Bench. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake. Casey Gaines on the audio board. Taylor Sharp getting us on YouTube. And we're kicking off the hour with a friend of the program, Big Fave, Marlin Favorite. You could follow him on Twitter at BigFave504, repping the area code. Always love that. Marlon, how's it going, man? Appreciate you taking the time.
What's down, Mario, man? Thank y'all so much for having me on the show this morning. Hello, somebody.
Hello, somebody indeed. You know, you've been friends with T-Bob and Jake a long time, playing with them back at LSU, winning the ring together. You and I befriended each other back when I was in college. I featured you for an article for a magazine I was writing at the time. And last year, we got to spend a lot of time together because last year sucked for me covering the LSU games. You know, they got rid of the Spanish broadcast, at least temporarily. So I got to go sit in press row, and you were kind of my neighbor the entire season, you and Trisha from KLSU Radio. So we had a lot of fun watching the Bama game and the Mississippi State game. Always enjoyed talking to you. That being said, man, what are you up to these days? I know you're still in New Orleans. Are you still doing radio work? Your son's doing really good as a punter. What's life like for Big Fave these days?
Life's great, man. Just thankful, Mario. You're taking it back to the 225 magazine days. I remember that. Hello. Time flies. So, man, right now we just wrapped with Conquer Sports, my company. We just wrapped the off-season schedule, so we're going into our in-season schedule with our high school kids. Just, you know, they go through their maintenance right now with the training. So, you know, it's usually a transitional phase between July and August for me because now it's football season. So the in-season training with the football work is a little lighter now, and then, you know, we turn it up with the broadcast, and I'm, you know, still on with Gus here weekly, 2 times a week on his show on Sports Hangover, getting geared up for LSU Sports Radio this year. It's going to be fun working with those guys, and man, I love my sports talk with Great Day down here, and we have some other things going on as well. I'm happy about this. I'm happy to announce that Small Sliders Marrero is officially a sponsor of Inside the Trenches podcast. So we have our first show there. Yes. 12 o'clock this Friday.
Shout out to Smalls, man. I love me some Biggie Smalls and some queso with the fries, man. That's congratulations. That's awesome, man. You sent me a text earlier today when we were talking some LSU football, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull a T-Bob and put you on the spot here, bring something off air on the air. Do you really think this could potentially be the best LSU defensive line ever? This is coming from somebody who played with Glenn Dorsey, Tyson Jackson, some real dogs. So that holds a little bit more weight coming from you, man. What do you think the potential is for this defensive line?
I mean, humbly, I would say they have the potential because the potential is there. But that's some huge shoes to fill, given the fact the guys before us, Chad Lavalley, Marcus Spears, you had even younger guys on those 2003 teams like Melvin Oliver, rest in peace, Marquise Hill, legendary D. And that 03 D-line had the numbers, and they went and won the national championship, right? Mm-hmm. Our D-line in 2006 and 2007, we were ranked the number one defensive line in the country twice, 2 years in a row. So that it's a possibility. That's why I say it's possible, but you're talking teams can't run on you. We had Tebow come through. He might have averaged close to 200 yards rushing a game. He didn't have 50 against us. So it's some big shoes to fill. They got some work. They got the guys like Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo. I don't know. I think that might have been you said that earlier. I was listening to you guys. He is super underrated for All-American. That kid can go. So they have the potential, but it's just some huge shoes to fill.
What do you think of Harold Perkins moving to the mic, man? He was somebody who made a big impact last year despite being really raw, coming right out of high school. There were times where the LSU coaches kind of had to make an effort to get him on the field. Now he's going to try to diversify his game a little bit, take on more responsibilities, both pre and post-snap. What are you expecting from Big Perk, Harold Perkins, this season?
Big Perk? What up, Big Perk? I'm a boy right there, man. I think Big Perk. Was I a super fan of the move to middle linebacker? No, because I think when you solidify yourself as a middle linebacker, you limit yourself to only middle pressure if we use him on a middle linebacker blitz. You can do some different stunts and some different games up front with the interior lineman and a Mike linebacker. But I think Harold Perkins, I'm not taking anything away from his playability, but I just think he has so much upside in being able to be everywhere, right? You don't know if this kid, it adjusts. It made opposing coaches have to account for where this kid might be, similar to what Taysom Hill does for the Saints offense. You put him at the middle linebacker as an offensive coordinator, it's much easier to say, okay, well, Harold Perkins is here, so we know that, the center IDs Mike. So we ID the Mike linebacker, and then now it kind of makes it easier for offensive coordinators.
Let's see.
So I wasn't a super fan of it, but I trust the coaching staff. I'll remain optimistic.
Okay, that's some good insight, man. I appreciate the contrary opinion. That's something I'm definitely going to consider going into the season. Going to the other side of the football, Marlon, we're talking to Big Fave, Marlin Favorite here on OTB. You and I last year in the press box, we had a lot of conversation about the running back rotation. Like sometimes you took umbrage, sometimes I took umbrage. Should they use Williams here? Should they maybe mix in Emery a little bit more? How do you view that room coming into the season? Very deep. You have Goodwin coming back. You have Logan Diggs, the New Orleans native, coming over from Notre Dame. How do you think that room will stack up, and what are kind of your individual expectations for the LSU running backs this season?
To me, that's probably where the biggest competition from camp is going to come at that running back position. John Emery is still on that roster. I know he, had to take care of some things, this spring, but he is expected to be back. I mean, we can't forget who this kid is. I mean, this is someone who played on a national championship team in 2019 with Joe Burrow got a significant amount of snaps, and, I mean, he's an NFL-style running back. We'll start there. Then there's a 2.0 version of him there now with Logan Diggs. You know, what that kid did at Archbishop Rumble here locally in New Orleans, and, you know, with the potential he has. I mean, he can put up 1,000 yards rushing. I mean, that's just what the kid can do. He has that explosiveness about him. And then I said this, I want to say yesterday on the Stone Show, you go to that SEC Media Day, you're the guy. I mean, it's nowhere around it. And Josh Williams, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the representatives from LSU going out there. Let me tell you something. I have so much respect for that kid. I really do. I met him a couple times last year. Listen, anytime you got to walk on somewhere and you beat out scholarship players, it just is what it is. You heard me? And I think what he did last year, he solidified himself as a straight dog. Because, I mean, that's a lot of convincing. You know, this is coming, that's why I say I got a lot of respect as a tender spot. You know, I didn't have to obviously in college I redshirted and, I was on scholarship. But in the NFL, it was real for me. I had to be undrafted free agent, and I was just, a camp body most of the time. And I know how hard it is to earn the respect of the coaches and the trust of the coaches to do that. So, I mean, Josh Adall, go in. He'll pop one up the middle for you. I mean, that running back room is probably the most competitive I've seen it.
Yeah, and that's definitely a good thing going into the season. What about the wide receiver room? I think Malik Neighbors can have a very special season. Like, I know LSU is very deep in that room. I know they have a lot of guys that contribute, but I was really impressed what he did last year. I know he only had the 3 touchdowns, but over 1,000 yards, maybe had the kind of season that a lot of people expected Kayshon Boutte to have last season. Now Malik is even more experienced. He has a lot more rapport with Jaden Daniels. What are you expecting from Malik Neighbors as he was named to the Maxwell Award watch list yesterday?
Rightfully so. I think he's someone who earned that that watch. But you look at that receiving room, it starts with wide receiver Y and Malik Neighbors. He has that. I'm not overselling him at all, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but he does have Jamar Chase playmaking ability. In regards to just being aggressive and making a play on the ball. And I would point the same way to Brian Thomas, and you look at Lacey as well. Like the running back room, I do think a lot of guys are going to earn their respect for catches. You look at the depth. We have Chris Hilton. We also have a freshman in Kyle Parker, who's second on the depth chart. Just looking at freshman Sheldon Sampson, I had an opportunity to watch him go against Ashton Stamps, which is one of our players with Concord Sports.
Rummel.
Work with DCT as well. Archbishop Rummel as well. He's a dog. Look for this kid to contribute as a specialist. You can look at this kid, I know we're on the offensive side of the ball, but he's one of them freshmen I think we should really take a look at. I'm looking forward to hearing his progression in camp. But this receiving core has some potential. Lead with Malik Neighbors as the guy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Stamps. Me and my producer here, Taylor, actually called the game when they played against U High, and he had the game-sealing interception. I actually went up to him at a 4th of July event. I was having fun at that event. We were getting turned. And I told him I was a really big fan of his. He might have been a little creeped out because he didn't know who I was, but I am a big fan of his, and he is a good football player. Big Fave, I saw that you were at Saints camp earlier this week. You took a very nice selfie with Derek Carr. Y'all both have very wide grins across your face. Y'all both look really happy. Are you happy with what you've seen out of Derek Carr in camp so far, and are you happy he's the Saints starting quarterback?
I am happy. I'm happy across the board. We were smiling because we have a mutual friend in Jason Kabinda. Jason played at the Oakland was the Oakland Raiders at the time with Derek Carr, and me and Jason worked with the NFL and NFL Network over the years. So we kind of share a mutual person. But that was my first time meeting Derek Carr, and I am similar to the defensive line with the Saints, with LSU, I'm optimistic about Derek Carr. I thought Matt had a really good segment before he brought me on yesterday when he spoke about the different execs, the different scouts, different people around the league rating the quarterbacks, and Derek Carr being at the top of that third tier of quarterbacks. That's a performance-based award. I do think that he is, from a leadership standpoint, with this receiving core needed and this team needed, you do see the difference. I went to a few practices last year with the New Orleans Saints, and then, of course, going out there the other day, and that's something that immediately jumped out at me, that the team chemistry is much better. Everybody's a little more upbeat, and to be honest, it starts with the head guy and the quarterback. I mean, it just is what it is. Those are the leaders of the team. You know, everybody else kind of go off of their mode or their temperament. But I do feel like Derek Carr now has a group of receivers that can rejuvenate his career. Is he approaching his prime? No. Is he kind of going downhill in regards to his clock in the NFL? Yes. But I've seen a lot of quarterbacks go out with a blast. So, I mean, you're looking at a guy that's, 32, 31 years old?
Mm-hmm.
He could play another 7, 8 years in this league. But look how Drew Brees was able to play so long. He had weapons. And that's what Derek Carr has here in New Orleans. So I'm really interested in seeing how he's going to, take over and make this team one of the top-tier teams in this division again.
Well said, man. And not only does he have the weapons, but he has maybe the best defense that he's ever played with off the bat in his first year in New Orleans. We've been talking about a stat where Derek Carr, throughout his career in the NFL, 9 years with the Raiders, has never shared a team with a defense higher than 20th when it comes to scoring defense in the NFL. And the Saints certainly have weapons on that side of the ball as well. One of them is Cam Jordan. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you, from a defensive lineman's perspective, what has allowed Cam Jordan to be so good for so long? Like, I feel like we spent so much time talking about the guys next to him. The Saints haven't really found him that, partner in crime since Junior Gillette was here way back in the day.
Yeah.
And we don't really give him enough praise for not only being so good, but being so good for so long. There is nobody in professional sports that I want to see win a championship more than Cam Jordan. So from your professional opinion, what has made him so good?
Consistency. I think how consistent Cam has been in the league. I mean, you look at, and this is someone, obviously Cam has been down here for 13 years. So this is someone I know personally. And what I've noticed about Cam over the years is just being consistently being in double-digit sacks. He'll start off slow. Like Cam will start the first 6 games, 7 games, he don't get a sack out of them. But then he'll end the season with 10. You brought up a name, Junior Gillette. When Junior and Cam were rushing off the edge, I mean, these guys were probably one of the best tandems in regards to defensive ends in our league. I have to give credit to that. But Cam, through the storm, I mean, he's been consistent. He is, to me, he is the epitome of what an every down defensive end supposed to look like in the NFL. I mean, we're so caught up in this thing right now with edge rushers to where it's, man, is he a good edge rusher? Is he a DN? Listen, edge rusher, DN, if you got to pick one name, are you a good defensive end? And that's someone who can play on first through fourth down. And Cam does that. I'm a huge Cam Jordan fan. I think he's probably one of the more underrated defensive ends in our league. And a lot of it had to do with the transition and the evolving of that position. You start to get more Von Miller, guys 6'6", 230 pounds as opposed to 275. I mean, Cam 287. He holds it well and he gets after the quarterback. I think he does deserve a ring. He does deserve one.
Hopefully he gets one really soon. Big Fave, Marlin Favorite, giving us a few minutes. Always enjoy the conversation. Hope to see you soon, man. Might see you in the press box over at Tiger Stadium in a couple of months. But really appreciate you coming on. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Thanks, man. And for our listeners, man, Small Sliders this Friday, Marrero, baby. Cruising down the street, trick-or-trick-or real slow. Mario, what the fellas be yelling?
Yes, sir. Hello,
Marrero.
somebody.
All right, big dog.
West Bank is the best bank. Yes, sir. Shout out to Marlin Favorite and everybody in Marrero over there. Home of Baby Boy, the rapper that made the Saints remix to This Is the Way We Live. So shout out to Big Fave and all my people over there in the West Bank. My brother-in-law is from there too. Shout out to Joey if you're listening. This is Off the Bench. We'll come back, do a little bit of Would You Rather Wednesday. Get your questions in the Bayou 4 chat. You could ask us anything about sports, about life. Compare it, in a Would You Rather fashion, and we'll answer those questions for you coming up next. This is Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
Go to centralplumbing.org, 925-8552, centralplumbing.org. When you overthink it, don't overthink it, okay? Just call Central Plumbing. Let's say you got like a problem with your pipes, a garbage disposal. You can actually, I've done some garbage disposal work for, not to brag. But maybe you just need like a new one, right? Whatever. You know what? Don't do it. It's just not worth your time or effort or money or anything, right? Just call Central Plumbing. Take advantage of the licensed bond-insured employees, the flat rate pricing, the excellent warranty coverage, the customer service that's there for you when you need them with 24/7 emergency service, weekend, weekday, holiday, and then just don't lift a finger and have it fixed. How about that? That's what you get when you work with Central Plumbing, 925-8552. And I don't talk about this a lot. But also, if you've ever thought about wanting to be a plumber, right? It's an excellent place to work. Great pay, great benefits. Go explore it also by calling 925-8552, centralplumbing.org.
Information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, our final LSU camp preview. We'll get your Saints camp report. We'll do Pluckers trivia, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Get that winning feeling from the gridiron to the diamond and beyond with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check it out, y'all. With money lines, props, parlays, and more, you bet your favorite sports and take shots at massive wins. And right now, new customers have an incredible deal. Use the promo code Baton Rouge to sign up. All one word, Baton Rouge. You get $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting $5 on anything. How about that? Remember, if you're a returning customer, you can always take your winnings to the next level with the DraftKings same game parlays, okay? So open up the app, place your parlay, combine a bunch of bets, get that bigger payout. What are you waiting for? Promo code Baton Rouge, bet $5 on anything, $150 in bonus bets instantly. Must be 21 or older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensing partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537.
Shout out to our friends at DraftKings, and shout out to all of you in the Bayou 4 chat. Great interaction today. Mario Jerez filling in for T-Bob and Jake one more day. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp. We teased in the last segment. Let's do it here, and let's do a segment we haven't done in a while. Some Would You Rather Wednesday.
Okay, which would you rather be?
Now, what superpower would you rather have?
The question is, would you rather date the blind or the deaf?
Would you rather drown or be burned alive?
Would you rather be overpaid or underrated?
Rather you just said thank you and went on your way.
I'd definitely rather be overpaid. That's kind of a dumb question on the surface, is it not?
Yeah, overpaid or underrated. Why would you not want to be overpaid in any aspect of life?
For sure.
Shout out Dak Prescott.
There are benefits of being underrated for sure. Shout out to Sean Payton, who we were just talking about over the break. He used to have a quote that said, there's nothing better than being an underdog, knowing you have the better team. So I think there's situations where that is beneficial, but I'd rather be overpaid, especially at this stage of my life. Give me the overpayment. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Hashtag Would You Rather from Bilbo. Would you rather sliders or dummy thick burgers? I love a good slider. I'm somebody who appreciates sliders. We were talking about smalls a little bit, but there's nothing like a fat, juicy, thick burger. I'm going with the latter there.
Yeah, I'd go with the burger. I think it all depends on situation. Like if you're sitting down, thick burger. If you're doing like a tailgate or something like that, maybe the slider. But overall, yeah, thick burger.
Casey, you don't strike me as a big burger guy for whatever reason. Maybe I'm being dumb, but are you a big burger guy?
I am not. I'd honestly go with the slider because big burger, I mean, they're depending on how big, they're just hard to eat and they can just get annoying, messy. I don't know. I'm slider.
That's fair. I embrace
It's so
the messiness.
funny because Casey's such a chilled person. I could just picture him getting like super angry at his burger. It's just funny to me.
Me too. So shout out to Casey for giving us the burger tape there. What else we got here? Hashtag Would You Rather know if that dude on the plane wasn't real or identify the identity of the woman? Shout out to Nookie. First of all, bonk. Second of all, I would much rather know that the alien is real. And like I told Taylor a few minutes ago, if anything does happen in the near future with like aliens, more discoveries, we make contact, that lady is going to be a freaking superstar. She's going to be like a revolutionary, like Chris Columbus. What you think?
Oh, part of me wants to pass on this one. Look, you know what? We'll be honest on this Wednesday. I'd rather know who she is.
Shout out Victoria.
Yeah.
Don't get in trouble, baby. Hashtag Would you rather be Joe Burrow or Paul Skeens? Love Paul Skeens. Champion. He donated a lot to charity, I believe. Great guy. Excellent baseball player. The answer is Joe Burrow, and it's easy.
Yeah, well, and it's not just because I like football, better than baseball. Joe Burrow's kind of already made it. Now, if Skeens becomes a stud pitcher, he's going to make a lot more money in his career than Burrow. That's just the sport of baseball, but Skeens still has to prove himself in the majors. Burrow's already there, so yeah, Joe Burrow.
Yes, for sure. The Bengals were in the AFC title game last year, right? They beat the Bills in a divisional. They lost to Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs in the conference title. I'm remembering correctly. Yep. This man has taken the Cincinnati Bengals to 2 AFC championships. They won one of them. They went to the Super Bowl. Before he got there, they hadn't won a playoff game since 1990. Like, that's unbelievable. And you don't want to give, one player too much credit. Their defense has been awesome. They lost some key guys like Von Bell and Jesse Bates, and I worry for that group a little bit coming into this year. But Burrow's been the key piece. I mean, not just turning around that team, but turning around that organization. Like, Skeens definitely still has some work to do. Don't mean to be disrespectful. Don't yell at me in the chat. Love me some Paul Skeens, but would definitely rather be Joe Burrow, since that was the question. Hashtag, would you rather be a pro athlete or a pro movie star? That's kind of a tough one. There seems to be some really, sketchy stuff going on in Hollywood. Sports is really corrupt too, I'm sure, in some areas, but I've always, envisioned being an athlete. I love sports. I cover sports. Movie star would be cool. I'm sure it has its perks, but give me pro athlete.
Athlete easily for me, like having all eyes on you on the Super Bowl, all the pressures on you. I love high pressure situations. Maybe I'm a sick individual like that. I feel like I thrive in chaos. Pro athlete all day. That would, a dream of mine would be like to be an offensive player. You're on the road, you're down by 4, you need a touchdown to win, you got 2.5 minutes and no timeouts. Dream scenario for me. I would love to be in that just to see how I would perform under pressure. Pro athlete easily.
Nothing like a quiet stadium. Let me pitch a would you rather to everyone in the room. I know Casey's not as big a sports fan, but I know you've been in a lot of stadiums. Would you rather, as a fan, experience your team getting a big win at home, reveling in it, thousands and thousands of people wearing the same colors as you? Or would you rather see your team win on the road in front of a silent stadium while you're going crazy, everybody else is sitting on their hands?
Am I at the stadium or am I watching it on TV?
No, you're at the stadium.
At the stadium, I'd rather it be home because I could celebrate with everybody. Watching it on TV or being a player, I would rather get a big upset win on the road.
Okay, that's fair. I guess I'll be contrarian and say, as a fan even, I enjoy winning on the road, man. I went to the LSU-Florida game in 2014. They won on a 50-yard field goal. Shout out to Colby De La Huse. And that was awesome, man. Just a little strip of LSU fans going nuts while the Florida fans are really upset. A lot of them were happy because they were going to fire Will Muschamp. But most of them were just really, peeved. That's a good feeling. And if you're an LSU fan and if you were in Tuscaloosa back in 2011 and got to experience that, man, I am envious of you. I've heard some stories about being in that stadium and the noises made, the very faint noises coming from the LSU fans when Drew Alleman made that kick. That's got to be a whole lot of fun. So I'm going a road game there. Let's see if we got some better questions here. Would you rather travel to the past or travel to the future? Honestly, neither, because I'm horrified of the butterfly effect. But if I had to pick one, I think I would go back to the past.
I'd go to the future. I'd want to see maybe what the future has in store for me and everyone else. I mean, past is the past. I'm moving on.
All right. Would you rather play an instrument or be a talented singer? Ooh, man, there's something to be said for having a good singing ability, having the vocal cords. But if I could just jam on like a guitar or a saxophone, that would be awesome. I'm definitely going with the instrument. Casey seems like he has some thoughts here. Casey, would you rather be a talented musician or be able to play an instrument?
I would definitely want to be a singer because I already play the guitar.
All right.
So,
what can you play? I used to be able to play Smoke in the Water when I was like 12.
Yeah, that's the beginner song. Everyone learns that whenever you're playing guitar. So, but yeah, I played mainly just rock, metal, all that kind of stuff, really fast.
I'm going to go to a rock show with Casey. I'm going to go to a country show with Taylor. I'm a very cultured person. I'm looking forward to doing this with both of you guys. Y'all look like y'all have a lot of fun in those environments.
I would go singer. I mean, look, bands are great. Keith Richards, great guitar player. You got all the great drummers. It's all about the lead singer. Everybody knows that. However, we're all going to have a garage band session. You two playing guitar. I like to think of myself as a semi-professional electric triangle player. So we're going to have a nice jam session.
I'm down, and I'm down for the country show, but y'all both got to come watch Currency with me at House of Blues. That's the trade-off. Hashtag Would You Rather Wednesday. Would you rather the Saints go to the Super Bowl or LSU make the playoffs? I've always said I loved both equally, but LSU's been there more recently, so I'm going with the Saints.
Shockingly, I'm going to go with LSU making the playoff.
Okay.
Easy win for me.
Would you rather the Cowboys make the NFC Championship game or LSU make the playoff?
LSU make the playoff.
All right. I know Taylor loves him some college football, so that makes sense. Let's see if there's any worth doing here. Hashtag Would you rather switch bodies with the person to your left or the person to your right? Man, that'd be tough.
Well, there's nobody to my left. You either. I mean, I guess Casey's to your left. I'm to your right. Same for me. I don't know.
Freaky Friday.
I mean, you guys are both kind of equal. I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, y'all are good coworkers. I mean, for a day, like, I like who I am, but like for a day, I'd probably switch with either one of you guys.
Give me Casey. I can stomach being a Kentucky fan, but I can never stomach being a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Fine, I'm picking Casey too. Screw Mario.
I got you, man. Hashtag, would you rather Taylor make more puppy picks or have Taylor go to a T Swift concert? Definitely the puppy picks, which I'm disappointed you haven't sent to me yet.
I don't have them done yet. For me, definitely puppy picks. I took them on my front porch. Didn't have to go anywhere. Taylor Swift concert was an experience, but don't really want to do it again.
Okay, fair enough. Taylor Swift donated some money to truckers. We gave her some flack when she did bad, trashed her apartment, had to pay fines. So I guess we'll praise her for doing some charitable work. Shout out to Taylor Swift. Okay, this segment's gone off the rails. I'm giving shout outs to Taylor Swift. So let's take a break. Let's come back and talk QB tiers on the other side. This is Off the Bench. Mario Jerez, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
the spicy chicken biscuit on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
It's on. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. JD Piquel from On3 Sports is back. It's a What If Wednesday, and my top storylines entering LSU fall camp. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Accutemp Baton Rouge, AccuTempBR.com. AccuTempBR.com. AC, heat, and electrical needs. You want to go to Accutemp. Greg says, how is Frozen S tier? Wake up, okay? Freeze your house out. You won't even need any magical powers like Elsa. You just call up Accutemp Baton Rouge, and they make sure that you can take control of your comfort zone. Your AC's running. Ask about the Star Club membership, where you just pay a flat rate for the year, and they just come out and stay on top of the situation for you, so you avoid any catastrophic issues down the road. Go look at the online reviews. Thousands of reviews, and they have a 4.9 Google review rating, okay, out of 5. You only end up there if your customers are consistently satisfied. Their core ethos, service to the highest degree, is not lip service. They walk that walk. Put it to the test, and then tell me I'm an idiot if it doesn't work out, but I'm not worried about that because it will. They're the best. Accutemp Baton Rouge, AccuTempBR.com.
We have NFL football on the television tomorrow. Real National Football League football. It is just the Hall of Fame game, but hey, we made it, man. The preseason is here. Soon the regular season will be here, and life is just better, at least for me, all around, whenever football is on the television. That will be the case tomorrow, but I guess it's technically still talking season, and it's definitely tier and list season. People love to do this over the offseason where they rank quarterbacks. They put different QBs in different tiers, and a couple of websites did that. I know The Athletic has a write-up that a lot of people are talking about, but for us who can't get past the paywall at the moment, we're looking at this article from CBS Sports, very similar, that tiers quarterbacks, and they have tier 1 to start, the big 3. You got Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. One of those, not like the other. As good as Josh Allen's stats are, he has not been to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has, Patrick Mahomes has, and he's won 2 of them things. Tier 2 is labeled as could join them next year. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. I'm looking hard at Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts both this season. Herbert just got that big contract, but they blew a big lead in the playoffs against the Jaguars. A lot of people seem to think that the coach is the problem there. So Staley definitely on thin ice, but I'm curious to see what Herbert could do in the postseason as well. Lamar trying to get healthy. If he comes back, I think he could be really good. I know Taylor disagrees with me, but all good. Trevor Lawrence took a big leap last year. A lot of people don't even count that rookie year under Urban Meyer, but he looked great last season. If he takes a step this year, the Jaguars could make some serious noise. And then Jalen Hurts. He's done awesome since coming into the NFL, both in terms of his rushing ability and improving as a passer. Curious to see what he can do this year after getting that big contract. Now, where the question marks kind of come in and where me and Taylor are about to yell at each other, I think, is with tier 3, where you have Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson. Allow me to at least make the case for Mr. Justin Fields here, Taylor. I think in fantasy and in reality, he can be pretty good this year. And I know he's been somewhat one-dimensional in your opinion, but the stats don't lie. This guy is an electrifying runner. He had a game last year where he had 178 rushing yards on 15 carries, another one with 147 yards, and another one with 132 yards. And the weapons around him, a lot better this year. I am a big fan of DJ Moore. Had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons with some pretty subpar QB play in Carolina. So I think the Bears could be better this year. And I know, definition of insanity, Ohio State quarterback, but I think Justin Fields can have a nice little season.
You're right. Numbers don't lie, and they don't lie because he is one-dimensional. His passing numbers have been abysmal at best, Mario. I mean, look, honest question, what have you seen from this guy that shows promise that you think he could get better?
Just the rushing ability and the improved team, man. The team around him is a lot better. Like, that offensive line was patchwork the first couple of years with Justin Fields. I had a neighbor, I'm pretty sure this story is BS, we could look it up, but he had a square rim at his house. And he used to say, hey, if we play on this square rim, we'll be better basketball players. Because Michael Jordan used to shoot on a square rim at home. And whenever he went to a gym or another goal or whatever, it was really easy because it was a circular rim, right? Justin Fields had such bad skill position players around him and such a bad offensive line that his job is going to be a lot easier this year with improvement in the trenches and with better weapons. So I think you combine that rushing ability with the team improving. Yes, he will still have some warts as a passer for sure, but he'll improve enough there to at least be effective. Not saying he's Patrick Mahomes or anything, but he could help me or you in fantasy, and the Bears could at least flirt with the winning season. Is that fair?
Oh, no. If the Bears get 6 or 7 wins this year, I think that's impressive. That offensive line, it didn't improve as much as everyone likes to think. Look, I'm never high on any Ohio State quarterback. It's not like I'm picking on Justin Fields here. Just show me and I'll be a believer. That's where I'm at with Justin Fields. But the problem I have with this, Mario, if we could skip ahead a little bit, all the way down at tier 5, you have guys like Kenny Pickett and Brock Purdy. And that's okay, but CBS says, well, you know, it's too early to tell with them, so we're going to put them in tier 5. Well, why the hell is Justin Fields in tier 3? He's in the same boat as these guys. What I know about Brock Purdy is that guy can win.
Yeah.
That guy's 8-0. Kenny Pickett's been to the playoffs. What has Justin Fields done? They won 2 games last season. They were considering taking Bryce Young first overall. They traded that pick last minute. I'm okay with them being at the bottom, but why is Justin Fields not down there with them?
I see your point. I see your beef. Winning is what you have to do. You know, it's a quarterback. It's the most important position. And Purdy has done a whole lot more of that than Justin Fields had. Your boy was in the conference championship game last year as Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the NFL draft. But the counter to that would be his situation is a lot better, man. The O-line, the play caller, and Shanahan, having a guy like Deebo Samuel, who I know suffered some injuries, but the weapons are a lot better there. You have a much better defense to lean on as well. And you have Shanahan calling the plays. So I see your beef, and for what it's worth, I also think Purdy is way too low. But that's just a situation of circumstance, I think.
No, I agree. His situation is a lot better, but that should actually help him, not hurt him in this argument. Justin Fields is still on a really bad team. Is he really going to improve that much this year? And then when you look at a Kenny Pickett, he's a similar situation. He's a guy that was known for his running ability a lot like Justin Fields, but he improved significantly throughout the season in his passing. He made a nice connection with George Pickens as the season went along. I don't understand how you can't have the same hype for him with Kenny Pickett, but look, it is what it is. And also, if we want to go back up a tier, I know we're jumping around a little bit to tier 2. I am perfectly okay with Trevor Lawrence and Jalen Hurts being there. They did a lot of good things. I think Jalen Hurts might be a top 5 QB in the NFL. Why are Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson in this? And it says, well, you can win with those guys. Can you? I know they've done some good things, but one thing is for certain that me and you cannot argue about. That's the Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson have not won a damn thing in the NFL.
That's fair.
Justin Herbert puts up a lot of yards. A lot of people nowadays put up a lot of yards. Lamar Jackson's an electrifying player. Lots of people are electrifying. So far in their careers, when the lights have come on in the playoffs, they played poorly and they folded. I can't put them in the same tier as Trevor Lawrence and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I can't even say anything, man. I'm much higher on Lamar than you are, but that's fair. And I know these lists are very subjective, but I see what you're saying. And on the same token, if I'm one of the tier 4 QBs here, I'd be upset that I'm behind Justin Fields. Like, you have Justin Fields in tier 3, but you have guys that have had success in the NFL. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, all in tier 4. Like, that's something you can have some beef with. And if I'm Derek Carr and I see this, I'm definitely a little bit motivated. I know that he's already very motivated to stick it to the Raiders, but this is what the perception around him in the NFL is, and he can really make some noise, in my opinion, in a new situation with the Saints, with the weapons he has and the defense that he's going to have in his first year in New Orleans. But these lists are always a lot of fun, really subjective. We're about to have some actual games to talk about, but always fun ranking the quarterbacks. You know we love to talk about quarterbacks around these parts. I'm sure we will in the next segment as well, as we wrap up the show with a little bit of Ask the Bench. So get your questions into the Bayou Ford YouTube chat using the hashtag Ask the Bench. We'll answer any questions you may have about sports and about life, and we will wrap up the show Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
Hey, ITI Technical College. I love ITI Technical College, and ITI Technical College loves you. I always talk about, right, if you want to change your life, you want a career, okay, not a job. You want to do well. ITI is the best return on investment that you're going to get in the entire state based on what you pay for school versus what you get in return. And Georgetown studies prove that. That's not me just pulling that out. But they've been doing this, y'all, for 50 years. And the best part is, if you go tour the campus, you go talk to them, you go to iticollege.edu, you go sign up, you see this, they care about their students. You got small classroom size. You got faculty members with multiple years of real-world experience. They have career consultants. They will schedule your classes for you. They will do mock job interviews for you. They will help set up internships with all the businesses that they have relationships for you. Like, all they want, if you come to them, they just want to help you be successful. And they've been at it for 5 decades. Follow them at ITI College.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained.
Premier South Roofing.
Many companies have that. What I'd like to think makes Luba
At Lewis Mechanical, no plumbing job's too big or too small, and we have the best technicians around. Lewis Mechanical specializes in both commercial and residential plumbing repairs.
Lewis Mechanical, keeping plumbing humming.
After further review with Matt Moscona, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
121-12674. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, our final LSU camp preview. We'll get your Saints camp report. We'll do Pluckers trivia, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT, with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Wrapping up the show with a little bit of Ask the Bench. Before we get to any questions, I saw this tweet. We don't have to play it on the screen or anything, but it's from David Pollock, and I really appreciate the message here. He tweets, "In pursuit of purpose, do not overlook the power of rest. Busyness does not equal productivity. Hashtag learning in the journey." I appreciate that. And for what it's worth, I'll miss David Pollock a lot on College Game Day. He was always very passionate about the game, always very informed, and that's a very good message there. All right, let's get to some hashtag Ask the Bench. To wrap up the show, hashtag Ask the Bench. Does Burrow make it to the Super Bowl this season in a revenge AFC title game versus Mahomes? I sure as heck hope so. It's really hard. He's already made it 2 years in a row. It's just statistically unlikely. There's so many good QBs in the AFC. I'm going to have to say no.
I'm going to go ahead and say yeah. That team certainly has the talent to do it. They were a few unlucky breaks in that AFC Championship game last year from making it back to the Super Bowl. Me and you talked about it during break before the QB segment that Burrow's actually 1-3 against Patrick Mahomes head-to-head. Now, Mahomes is obviously a better talent, but Burrow has the talent to be right there with him. If he could break through a couple times, maybe we're having a different conversation about those two. I think he does get there.
That's fair. We'll see. Like I said, I worry a little bit about their losses on defense, but we'll see, man. He's definitely a special player. Hashtag Ask the Bench. What is the best LSU home game for tailgating this year? Gramblin's coming in town. That's gonna be like Southern last year. You know, a local school, swag school coming in, bringing a big crowd. I'm sure that's got to be a lot of fun. As far as the tailgating scene goes, I'm trying to think of some of the big SEC games at home this year. All of them. That's the answer. All of them. I love tailgating at LSU. Clearly far and ahead. Better than all the other schools. All right, could have spent a little more time on that, but let's move on because we have a minute left in the show. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Favorite wing place in Baton Rouge? I like just winging it. I've been there a couple times. Y'all have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good spot. Underrated spot.
Yes, very good spot. Hashtag Ask the Bench. Favorite spot to tailgate on LSU's campus? I like the parade grounds. There's always a lot of fun going on in that area of campus. Taylor, you got any thoughts?
I'm not a tailgater, man.
Aw,
like at all.
Man. How come? What are you not?
Not
like
a big drinker, and if you're not, I just don't really see the point of tailgating.
Say less. I got you. You can still go have fun. You know, they have groups out there that are alcohol free, but I feel you, and I respect y'all's lifestyles. And hey, y'all did a great job. Taylor, Casey, my producers, appreciate y'all. Made my job a lot easier the last 3 days. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hester will be back tomorrow. I'm sure he took a lot of umbrage with a lot that we said in the last 3 days, and we'll break it down with Jake tomorrow. Thanks for listening to OTB 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT.
I want to be rejuvenated. I want to feel so young. RejuveMeMedical.com. You want to feel younger, better, stronger? You want to feel like Mowgli swinging through the trees? Okay, well, RejuveMe can help you get that. And I don't care. Look, man, aging happens to us all differently. I was told in my 20s that I had the T of a 60-year-old man. And then I did HRT, and it was awesome. But the point is, go in there for your free consult, get your labs drawn, and see where your body can improve. And then let them do it. Put together a plan. Maybe it's HRT, maybe it's not. Maybe it's stabilization optimization. Maybe it's a Botox. Maybe it is something more cosmetic, right? Maybe it's something less. Like, the bottom line is, if you just want to achieve your best quality of life, your best self, it's very fun, great environment, great atmosphere. Rejuve Medical. They got Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, now Shreveport as well. Restore Me, Refuel Me, Rejuve Me.